30. I think as the English would say, 30 quid. I think that's the proper thing to say.
A quid. It's like an animal quid. These Englishmen
I don't know
and
what
their
the fuck a quid is.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck a quid is. These Englishmen and their fucking monetary denominations.
Fucking Skip over here. He'll let us know. He'll let us know what
you ever heard of a
is.
quarter or a dime? Come on, guys.
Have you heard of George Washington?
That's so good. Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and, well, that's pretty much it. So, let's go!
This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different album by a different artist or band, and we break it down. We try our best to give you all the information, all the secrets of the record that we're getting into. But this week it's gonna be a little tough because we're doing a big album, one of the most popular albums of all time. So we are going to try our best breaking this son of a bitch down.
This has got to be like a top 5 most popular album of all time.
Without a doubt. Without a fucking doubt.
Whether it be sales, recognition, whatever.
Yeah, this is beyond a cultural banger. That's what this is. Also, but before we get into it, while you're listening, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, give us 5 stars. Please, please, please give us 5 stars. All of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff is at Asinine Radio. We have a Twitter as well. Get into that. We have a phone number you can call, leave us a voicemail, send us a text message. The phone number is 503-893-5307. And we have a Discord server because a lot of people do, and we're just as cool as they are. Hit us up for that link. We'll send it to you. Join us and some other jerk-offs that are in there and make fun of us and make fun of each other because that's pretty much all we do. So do that, and anyway, let's get into it. What album are we doing today, Jeff?
We are doing Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Excuse me.
Now, Jeff, what's your origin story with Pink Floyd?
Go. I don't know. Honestly, I mean, Pink Floyd is just it's in like the cover art for Dark Side is so ingrained in world culture, since it came out. It's just this phenomenon. So I saw the cover art before I ever heard Pink Floyd. One of the earliest times I remember listening to Pink Floyd and thinking this is not my thing, it's overrated and boring, was a guy I went to high school with, and I think his name was Mike Stone.
Yes, I remember Mike Stone.
He lived kind of where we got arrested for making the bomb. Right? Yeah.
Dry ice bomb.
So I went to his house to jam. I don't even fucking know how I ended up there. Don't know why.
That's so weird.
Didn't even really know him, but his dad had a lot of really, really cool equipment. And so I was at his house one. I think it was Taylor Moe that introduced us, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I was at his house one time and we jamming. We were playing Green Day songs and shit. And he was a really good guitarist. But we eventually
killer guitar player.
We eventually just started listening to music, and he's like, "Oh, I'll put Pink Floyd on." I was like, "Okay, I never listened to Pink Floyd, so let's listen to it." Didn't like it. Not a fan. Thought it was boring, and I didn't understand why people liked it. Fast forward to last year. This was that
so
we're talking maybe 15 years old to fast forward to 35. So fast forward 20 years, and I'm at some lady's house. I mean, we've talked about Pink Floyd in the past, and I've never hated them,
shit.
But I for sure have thought for a long time that they are overrated, and that they I don't know, overrated was the best word that I've always used to describe Pink Floyd. So yeah, fast forward to 20 years, and some lady's giving away records to me when we started our record collection, and she gave me "Wish You Were Here," Uma Guma, and Adam Hart Mother. I come home and I throw on Wish You Were Here first because that was it. And I mean, Sloan bought me the Dark Side when we first started collecting to kind of get me into collecting more. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. It sounds nice. I like it. It's good stuff. Let's listen to Wish You Were Here to see if it's as good. Not that great, whatever. But it was Atom Heart Mother. Atom Heart Mother. When I threw that on, and this is even before like I really dove into like the prog stuff. And but like when I threw Atom Heart Mother on, I don't know, something just clicked. Something happened to where I thought these guys are not that great. Like nothing they do is really that great. But when you throw them all together and when they're all on their A game, honestly, Pink Floyd reminds me of the way we write music, the way our songs have developed since we were playing in fucking Nia Numb. In your like ditching class and shit, fucking going and jamming at your house to where we are now. The way our songs have developed, the way we change things. It's just, I don't know. I think that's why I like Pink Floyd now is because I don't know. I see a lot of us in them. I really do. Like the way we write songs, the way we approach songs is just, fuck it. Let's just write a song like this. I don't like it anymore. Let's change it. Even though we just spent years perfecting it, let's just completely change it. And it just seems like Pink Floyd is a band that has evolved over the years. And I think the wall when they hit the wall.
Even making the connection between us and Pink Floyd. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but damn, that's a big big jump.
But like, I'm just because they're popular, but like if no one had ever heard of if Pink Floyd were, let's say 10 years after, and 10 years after is a killer proggy, psyche folk band kind of, and like no one's ever really heard of them. But like comparing us to them would be no big deal just because Pink Floyd has this stature and they're not that great musicians. They really aren't. Nothing they did, like compositionally speaking is like that great. They have some weird time signatures and Dark Side will talk about one, but I don't think that was intentional. I think they just wrote a really cool bass line and it just so happened to be in that 7/4 time signature. They don't fucking know what it is. Like they have no idea. It's just the way it happened to be. And the longer you play music, the more you learn. And it's just kind of like a de facto thing that now we hail Pink Floyd as one of the best. But they're human. They're human just like anybody else. As opposed to like I don't know, like Rush or Yes. Like these guys are King Crimson. Like these bands are so good, so technically fantastic, so perfect that they write perfect music. Whereas Pink Floyd was just, like you said earlier, what'd you call them, a bunch of cucks or something?
No, I didn't call them cucks. I called them like...
Schmucks. You call them schmuck. You call them schmucks.
Yeah.
Close enough.
I did call them schmucks.
Schmucks and cucks. I don't know. You call them something. Bunch of schmucks. You just decide to pick up music one day. Though? Because they are schmucks. There's a bunch of guys going to architectural school.
That's what I said. A bunch of schmucks from like an architectural school. That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. Building fucking designing cathedrals is boring. Should we start a band that makes no sense? Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. So I don't even know where
that was your origin story. That was your origin story.
That was my origin story. Okay.
Oh God, it's going off the rails.
I really don't know the first time I have ever heard Pink Floyd. I do not. I have no clue.
I do remember the first time I ever heard Pink Floyd. I had to have been I was in second grade, and my mom used to listen to a lot of classic rock, but for whatever reason, this really stood out to me. Was we were driving home from Lancaster back home to Placentia where we lived, and on the way home we were driving through the desert, or like we just left Lancaster, so it was still desert, and we're driving through there, and Money came on the radio, and my mom turned up really loud, and hearing the cash register and the coins, and then the bass line and all of that was really new to me. That was so weird. I never heard anything like it. And then my mom was saying how much she liked Pink Floyd, and she was the one who, she didn't necessarily get me into it because she wasn't a huge Pink Floyd person, but she liked their bigger songs, Another Brick in the Wall, Money, Wish You Were Here, and she really likes Comfortably Numb as well. Like those are the songs that she really liked. So whenever they would come on the radio, she would always turn them up really loud. But Money was the first song that I recall ever hearing, and I was in second grade. So what was that, 7 years old, 8 years old, if that? And, after that, I never really got into them. Even in high school, I was more of a nu metal guy, punk guy. Didn't really care. And then right after high school, I started to get into Dark Side to the Dark Side album. That was pretty much it. And then the Mars Volta were the reason why I started to dive deeper into their music, because they did a cover of Candy and a Currant Bun, which was a B-side from Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And they did a cover of that for the Bedlam and Goliath record. And that song leaked, or that entire record and all those B-sides leaked in 2007. And that was the first time I heard like a Pink Floyd cover. And then that's when I went down that rabbit hole of Piper, of metal, of animals, all that shit. And that's when I really started to get into Pink Floyd. It was like around 2007, 2008 was when I just fucking went in head first on Pink Floyd. So that's my origin story, I guess.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. So have you ever heard that Mars Volta cover?
No, and I don't ever want to hear it if Mars Volta, an overrated band, is covering one of Pink Floyd's worst albums.
But this is a B-side from that record.
I didn't like. I don't want to hear the worst songs that didn't make the album from their worst record. Why would I want to hear that?
And they have come out multiple times and said that their favorite record, the best Pink Floyd record of all time by far, is Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Idiots. The only thing worse about that statement you could have said is if this was like the Amputecture days of Mars Volta, but because it was the Bedlam days.
Yeah, this is like right after Bedlam. Yeah, this is during Bedlam. Yeah.
Okay, well then, because I do like Bedlam a lot, so. But no, I would not listen.
But also their cover of Candy and a Currant Bun isn't that good. It's not. It's like the worst. There was like 8 covers that they did for Bedlam, 6 or 8 covers, and only like 2 of them were good. The other, they were all like whatever at best.
It's a different kind of prog. It really is.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my origin story. So let's jump into our initial thoughts. If we have any stinkers, which I don't think we do. And then I guess we could just, like we talked about prior, before we started recording, we'll just start from the beginning. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you got?
Well.
Initial thoughts, stinkers. What do you got?
Initial thoughts will be. I don't know, Tyler.
You just don't know,
I don't even. I really have no. It's good. It's a good album, and
it's overwhelming. This entire week has been overwhelming.
This entire week has been overwhelming because of the amount of listening we've had to do. However, Dark Side of the Moon is not as great as we are led to believe, but it's still pretty great. It's not like this mind-blowingly fucking proggy perfection thing that has been handed down from God himself. It's really not. It's accessible. It's dumbed down a lot at points. But, I mean, that's just me nitpicking and trying to put this down a peg because it's not their best album. It's their most accessible album. It's their most successful album. And it's, I do think that because of the album art, I do. I really do think that this will live on forever because of the album art. And with this and Abbey Road, I think we've had this argument before. I think this is the most recognizable album cover of all time.
It's definitely up there for sure.
I do. This is it. This is the bee's knees here.
Yeah, we did talk about that, huh?
When
it comes to recognizable album art, I think this was.
It's come up several times.
It's
this one and Abbey Road are like the 2 ones that are just like, dude, everybody fucking knows what it is.
Yeah, that's very true.
You could have been born yesterday and you still know what this is, but so I listened to this in my car because I had a good block where I was going to be in my car for at least 45 minutes. I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm listening to my car through and through, front to back. That way there's no interruptions. I listened to it on the vinyls, and I think we have the same exact pressing, the 2016 pressing.
Yeah, the 2016 one, yeah.
Yes, we had the same pressing. So I listened to that, and then I listened to it on headphones. And I will say that the headphones was the best experience.
Mm-hmm.
I had the most enjoyable experience with the headphones, listening to Spotify, and as far as like quality goes, I think all 3 were the same. But I think you can really pick up on the stereo nuance with the headphones, and they do it. They deliberately use the stereo a lot, like the walking, the footsteps, the heartbeat. There are different things that they use to really make you want to listen to the stereo version. and you really pick up on it when you have the headphones on. When I'm sitting here in my setup, I'm listening to the vinyls. My speakers are a little close, and I'm not facing them directly. They're facing kind of perpendicular to where I'm sitting, so I don't get the back and forth of the stereo. In the car, it was a little bit better. I did get the back and forth, but the car is just it's a space too. But
there's also a lot of like noise when you're driving.
Yeah, the tires and horns and everybody else outside. But for sure, this was the first time I've ever listened to this album with headphones on. Actually, it was the first time I've ever heard this album the way I heard it with headphones on. And not that I've listened to this album 1,000 times. I've only been listening since we started collecting records, essentially. Maybe like 2 times in my life before that. But I will say, like, holy fuck, man. Dude, there's a billion comments on the internet about this album, and a lot of people say they have these weird like emotional reaction to this album. The instrumental parts make them feel ways, and I'm reading this stuff, and I'm like, this is fucking dumb, dude. You guys, like, this is stupid. This is not even their best album. But I will say, listening to it with headphones on, it's
a whole nother experience.
I was fucking mesmerized. It's like a 45-minute album. I swear to God, it went by in 3 minutes. It was over like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the last time I listened to an album like this and did not even remember the last like 25 minutes, except for the fact that I felt sad, I felt happy, I felt anxious, I felt energetic. It was unbelievable. I was blown away. I truly was blown away.
It is a really different and very cool experience because, like you, I had heard it a lot. I mean, not like you actually. I heard it a lot prior to when we started collecting vinyl. But this week, relating to what you were saying, I did listen to it in different formats. I mean, I listened to it on vinyl twice. Once just kind of farting around. Another time where I was literally sitting right next to my speakers on each side of me, which I do. I don't turn it up super loud, but it's loud enough to where I can hear the nuances and I'm not going deaf. And then I listened to it once in my car, and then I listened to it twice with earbuds in, with headphones on, and like I totally agree with you. Sonically, it is a headphone earbud record. You have to hear the panning of all the different sounds and instruments. You have to have that experience, otherwise it's just not the same.
Yeah,
this album has to be played with headphones on, without a doubt. Even if you don't even have that great of a copy of it, like even if it's not that like lower quality, like the part of the experience is hearing how they mixed the stereo on this. It's truly remarkable at this time. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of, engineers and producers and musicians in the 60s and late 50s that were trying to come up with all these cool ways of doing stereo recording. But the way Pink Floyd did it on this particular record was absolutely unreal and just amazing, truly fucking amazing. And I did just real quick. There was one time. This is maybe like 4 years ago. When I used to be an EMT, it was like a very, very slow night, and this was like at 10 o'clock at night. And I was with the guy I was working with, Daniel. He had heard Pink Floyd, but he had never heard Dark Side in its entirety. And we had the radio on because we didn't have this is an old ambulance, so we only had the radio, and it was on KLOS, which is the local rock, like classic rock radio station. And the DJ on the station, she said, okay, we're going to play Dark Side of the Moon at 10 o'clock, but we're going to play it from the vinyl. We're going to go vinyl directly to the radio, and there's not going to be any commercials. The only pause in the album is when I'm literally flipping the record. So we're like, oh, fuck yeah. So we were literally sitting in front of Los Alamitos Hospital, and we, like I said, we hadn't had a call for like 2 hours. And we listened to the entirety of Dark Side of the Moon on KLOS on vinyl, and Daniel had never heard this record, and he's like a crazy metal guy, and he was just kind of blown away by it. He had never heard anything like it, and he thought it was the coolest experience just hearing it, because we had the fucking speakers super loud in the ambulance, and it was dark. It was a really cool experience being with somebody who had never heard this record before in that environment. It was just super cool. That's just a little anecdote I had about this record.
That's
and
crazy.
How this is in 2016 or 2017? No, it's 2017 when this happened. Yeah, and they literally were listening. We listened to this record on vinyl on the radio. It was so cool because you hear the side A end, and you hear the stylus like pick up off the turntable. You hear it all, and then you hear like shuffling, and then you hear the record flip, and she's like, and then she says something like, "Here's the second side of Dark Side of the Moon," and then you hear the stylus go down, and then it starts side B. It was so fucking sick.
That's
no
unreal.
commercials.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. Like just I don't know, listening to Dark Side on the vinyls through like
on the
AM radio
or FM, but
KFI. That was AM 640. I don't know what you're talking about.
KLOS.
I thought you said KFI.
No, it was KLOS. KLOS.
That makes it less remarkable. That's
but
why
it's still
I was
fucking
so
cool.
I was so blown away because I thought you said KFI. Why the fuck is KFI playing?
No, not KFI. No.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you said KFI.
No, I did not say KFI.
You want double or nothing on the $5 bet?
I will double or nothing on the $5 bet.
That's it, baby. Double or nothing on the $5 bet. I'm pretty sure you said KFI.
I did not. I said KLOS.
God, I hope you said KFI.
I said KLOS, the classic rock station.
I know you didn't say
classic
that.
rock station.
You didn't say classic rock with
Let's
Talk. Okay, Uncle Joe Benson, relax.
I did. I said the local classic rock radio station. I did say it.
Okay. I think that like perfectly sums up just what Dark Side of the Moon or the Dark Side of the Moon with the article before it.
The is so annoying.
I think that just like perfectly kind of sums up what this album is about. It's about just like an experience. This album is an experience, and it's not the best. It's not the greatest. It's not the most mind bending. It's an experience through and through. They wrote it. I don't know if on purpose or if it just happenstance, but it became one hell of an experience. And there's a lot of people online, like I said earlier, where I've read like people were just like brought to tears. And this is not one of those albums for me, but I understand where people are coming from. I understand the emotional response that people had from this album because fuck, it is an experience.
Obviously we don't have stinkers, right?
No, there are no stinkers. There are parts of this album that I wished was less of something, more of something. I wish songs were combined into one thing, but no, there's nothing even close to being a stinker.
Same here. I mean, really the only criticism I would have is that some of the songs should have been combined. Like it could have been a solid 7-song record. Maybe even less, but 7 at the most. A 7-song record would have been just fine, just perfect.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
The way I kind of, because I still listed bangers, but I did combine some bangers together as one song. So I do have technically 7 bangers on here.
Okay.
Out of the 10 songs. So let's just start from the beginning though, because that's what we decided upon.
Yeah. Speak to me, baby.
So speak to me. Well, I mean, honestly, Speak to Me and Breathe, they're one song.
One song.
So let's just get into both of them. I mean, Speak to Me has no lyrics, so it's an intro with the heartbeat, the cash machines. It's pretty much bits and pieces of almost every song on the record put into this one like 30 seconds, 35 seconds.
It's an overture, right? It's a thesis statement.
Yeah.
It's something that we'll eventually hear on the album. It's got a nice gradual build into it's got a crescendo to it. That heartbeat's great. I like the overall themes and concept being explored of life and death and uncertainty and everything. And like we're hearing it right from the beginning, the heartbeat. The album is coming to life. Like, ooh, spooky. Okay, that's cool. I get it. I dig. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm piqued.
Yeah. And this is the only song that Nick Mason is credited on. The drummer Nick Mason is credited on. And they kind of did this just to throw him a bone, just to give him some extra money.
Throw him a bone.
Like it's kind of fucked up when you think about it. But in the end, it worked out because this is their most successful record. Because fuck The Wall, because that doesn't count. Like we were talking about in the rankings episode, it says 23 million copies sold. Fuck that. It's half that. Because it's a double LP. So I don't like that. I don't like the cheating.
Yeah, this is for sure the most successful record. It is. I mean, even if it's not, it is because
it is. Yeah.
I refuse to believe that this album art does not automatically make this their most successful album.
True. Also, when you think about it, like The Wall, isn't that kind of like a the cover, at least. The cover is like a shitty knockoff of the White Album, the Beatles' White Album. Like very minimalistic white. The only difference between the two albums is that there's some lines in it.
Yeah,
that's really some brick lines. That's it. That's cheesy. It makes me like The Wall even less.
Yeah, no,
like
I agree. The wall is the wall's pretty trash.
Talk about an overrated fucking album.
Pretty trash.
All right, so let's move on to Breathe then. I mean, that transition from Speak to Me to this it's perfect. There are moments on this record where the songs segue perfectly into one another, and this is the first example of that.
It's not even like they segue perfectly. It's like there is no segue. It's just it's the same fucking song. Like it's so the transitions are so flawless. Like honestly, they're so flawless that most of the time I don't even understand like what's going on. Like until it's too late. And the first time I listened to this was on Spotify. And so then when I'm trying to like listen to it through and through, because I have my new laptop and I have my new earbuds, and I was like, oh, I'm listening on Spotify first. And I didn't know when the next song happened, but then I know the theme. I know like the melody to Breathe. I know the melody to Time. I know the melody to Money. And so I was like, when the fuck when did we come into Time? Like we're 20 minutes deep. When did this happen? What? And so it was, I was caught off guard because I did not know when it happened because it's so, I don't know. They wrote it as one song, but just chopped it up on the album. I don't think that there were different songs. I think they only chopped it up just to make it more commercially acceptable when you look at an album. Like say you're just like a run of the mill person. You go to the record store in the 70s, you go to the record store and you come across this, you're like, oh, there's 5 songs on here. Like this sounds like this is probably going to be trash. It's not going to be pop music, but then you see an album with 10 songs and you're like, this sounds good. This could be a good pop record or a good rock record. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think that's really why they did this on the record because, Metal had 5 songs. What the fuck came before Metal? Obscured by Clouds only had 9 songs, I think, or something like that. So a lot of the more Adam Mother had 4 songs. So I think this is a conscious effort to try to make their album more appealing aesthetically by just separating the songs the way they did. Stupid, but it worked. All right, so then what do you got? What else do you got on Breathe?
Breathe in the air of the night. Dude, Gilmour has some sick guitar parts. Just some like cool country slides mixed with like serious ethereal dream like riffs. Very basic drum beat, minimal fills. But when those fills hit, they hit so fucking hard and it plays so well to the song. Nothing about this album where Nick Mason plays, aside from one song that I think is really cool, just unique, but nothing that he does on this album I think is like mind blowing because he's just playing to the song. He's calming it down, he's dumbing it down, he's playing to what the music calls for, nothing more, nothing less. This song has a great bass line. It goes up and down, it goes back and forth, and the keyboards have some pretty cool rad shit going out. Phased out, they're trippy. It's an amazing song. Truly.
It is. And I feel like in this song, there are many moments where you just feel immersed in the music. It immediately kind of takes you into the song and you're just kind of, it's not that it's hard to focus on what's going on. I don't even know how to explain it. I just feel like you're instantly brought into it and it's a great experience. And I agree with you on the bass. The bass is my favorite part of this song. It kind of trudges along. It's like, I don't even know how to try to describe it. It's something that I feel Roger Waters doesn't do a lot. It's a very unique bass line for him. And then the slide guitar too. I agree with you. The slide guitar, David Gilmour does it really well. And not just on this record. On several other records and songs, he pulls out that slide and he's fucking killer at it. So,
but it's not even like a full neck slide. It's like a half fret neck slide. You know what I mean? It's just enough to recognize that he's doing it, but it's not enough to turn this into like a country song. And he doesn't show amazing. Off with it. He does it to play to the actual song itself. It's never to show off. Like again, this stems from these guys just not being great musicians, just playing to the utmost full of their potential.
And after this week, I agree with you more because in the past, I had always assumed that, especially Gilmour and Waters, I always thought that they put out a lot more solo records than they actually did, but they've each only put out 4 records.
Yeah, nothing.
That's crazy. Since 1985, or I mean, essentially 1975, I think, actually, when Gilmour put out his first record. They've only put out 4 fucking records.
Yeah, the guys from Pink Floyd.
I thought they were way more prolific than this.
Sure.
I really did. I really fucking did. Whatever, though. It's fine. These Pink Floyd records are honestly amazing. So, should we play a little bit of Breathe?
Sure. Play a little bit of Breathe.
Right. Let's get into this a bit, and then we'll talk about the lyrics, and then we'll move on. So here it is from Pink Floyd. There you go. Breathe in the air from Pink Floyd. So what do you got lyrically on this one?
Dude, when he comes in with just the first Breathe, it's so airy and I don't know, it's so calming and delicate and nice.
It's very, very pleasant.
Very pleasant.
I really like when he says the run, rabbit, run. It's another, I mean, he sings it the same way. It's the same melody, but that part has always stuck out to me as the run, rabbit, run. I love it.
Good stuff.
I think it's just like, for lack of a better word, it's just a beautiful song.
Yeah. I
hate describing music that way, but that's what this is. This entire record.
Sometimes I don't know, man. Sometimes like you write music and it's really good because it's complicated, or the guitar part's really great, or it's got a good riff to it. Then sometimes you get a song like Breathe where it's just nice to listen to. It's like a good cloud. Like everybody likes a good cloud. Right? Like, but for real though, like you driving down like the freeway, you look up, you notice the clouds, but like when you see a good cloud, like you look at a good cloud, right? And you take like 2 to 3 glances, like that. Wow, that's a fucking good cloud. You
kind of like look at it like deeper, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I get what you're saying.
Like a nice curvy white cloud, like that's a fucking good cloud. Breathe is it's a fucking good song.
It is.
You know, everybody knows. Don't fucking act like you don't look at fucking clouds. Come on, everybody looks at clouds. I agree.
No, I'm with you.
Clouds
you. 100%.
Are amazing. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're cool. They're very cool.
They're great.
All right. Lyrically, though, this is essentially this entire album is a concept record about being born, about kind of life and all that, and then dying essentially at the end. This is the beginning and end of life, and kind of parts of it are based off of Sid Barrett as well, the original singer, band leader of Pink Floyd, and this is them being born. This is them. This is the narrator being born, and essentially the mother telling them like, just taking your first breath, things are going to be okay, be all right, and just kind of live your life the way you want to. That's kind of what this song is for me, at least.
I got like a little bit of I mean, because he directly says it, but I got like a little bit of being born and go do what do what makes you happy, go venture out in the world, but don't forget where you came from, because he says like, don't forget me. And I think that's like a throwback to like Sid, like, hey, you know, like we've made it this far as a band. They've already become like increasingly popular, but they have no idea how popular they're going to be after Dark Side and then Wish You Were Here, then The Wall. Like they have fucking no idea, but they've already become really popular. So I think that's just him. I don't know, him kind of honing it in at this moment when Pink Floyd was still humble and saying, I am not forgetting where I came from. I am not forgetting Sid Barrett. I am not forgetting that this is not even my band. Like, it's not David Gilmour's band at all. He didn't start this band. He came in later. So, I don't know.
It's truly a banger, man. Truly a banger. Where does this sit for you on the banger list?
I didn't have any bangers. I don't write bangers.
Oh, you didn't put any at all? Like, you
not at all.
Try.
Nope. I did for a minute. I did, and then I said no. I'm not ranking these based off of bangers, because taking them out of sequential order makes them less of a banger.
Yeah.
And they're just certain albums you can't do that to. You can't take them out of order. You have to listen front to back to get the full effect of the song.
I agree. I don't fault you for that at all. I think I'm kind of with you. I just did it out of pod necessity, I guess, or I felt like I had to.
That is muscle memory, really, right?
Yeah, yeah. What I just an interesting thing I kind of noticed on this listen this week at least is that Gilmour sings on almost, he's the lead vocalist on every song except for the last 2 songs.
Yeah,
which
he
is
sings
really
a lot.
just one song. And I think maybe that's why I like this album so much, because I prefer Gilmour's voice. I think he has a much better voice than Roger does.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you? I know you said earlier you preferred Rogers, right?
I think Rogers, like post Wish You Were Here, he's so fucking annoying because he just gets too stereotypical proggy of the 70s era of listening to like John Anderson or fucking Geddy from Rush. It's just boring. I don't want to hear it. Boring. But
Yeah.
I will say like Gilmour doesn't have the range that Waters does. He just doesn't. Gilmour does.
No, he doesn't.
Gilmour does one thing really, really, really well, but Waters at least can do other things. And sometimes it hits, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. But I think that's
true. That's true.
it makes for a good like oil and water, like Mark and Tom. You know what I mean? It's good stuffs.
It's a good dynamic,
Yeah.
definitely. All right, so let's move on to On the Run. On the Run, the third song. What do you got on this one?
Dude, just okay, so first of all, the transition into that hi-hat part with like the deep bass.
Oh, I know.
What are you fucking doing? What are you doing, dude? Like, come on. That's one of the coolest things like in music history. It's so fucking good. So
It
good.
is really good.
Like every time we jam, there's always like a point where we transition to a different song and like we want to hit the hi-hats. That's what they're there for.
I know.
Just click them away, baby. Click them away. God
But then
damn.
if you really listen to it, especially on the earphones, you can really hear it. You can hear the loop because it's not Nick and
Yeah.
Mason playing
No.
that over and over again.
Right.
It's you hear that click of the loop of the tape loop going over and over again.
Over and
I
over.
love it. I love that so much.
Again,
Like, they didn't even try to hide that
No.
that tape loop at all. And I think that is fan-fucking-tastic.
because they're not that great musicians, but they have an idea, they have a concept, and there's no fucking reason why only Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix should be able to write the best music. Everybody has great ideas. There's no reason
Yeah.
why only the great ideas should be only produced by the great musicians. And that's why Pink Floyd is a ragtag group of, you think again, did you call them schmucks or cucks?
Schmucks, yeah.
Schmucks. Why a
Architectural
ragtag?
schmucks.
Yeah,
Architectural school schmucks.
A ragtag
Architectural-
group of architectural schmucks. There's no reason why they can't write a fantastic fucking album. Just because they're not good at their instruments? No, their ideas are just as solid as anybody else's. And this is, yeah, you're right. That's a good example of it.
So prior to them recording this record, they pretty much had played this record in its entirety live for the last like 9 or 10 months, if I'm not mistaken. And there were some changes that were made once they started recording, but it's pretty much all there. And you can listen to old live recordings and bootlegs and all kinds of stuff, and you'll hear the entire Dark Side record played the year prior, which I think was kind of ahead of its time. Really, you didn't hear a lot of bands do that. They would just go straight from a tour straight into the studio, write and record in 2 months, and then put it out, tour again, and continue the cycle. But it was kind of cool that they were trying something a little bit, or doing something a bit different, and did this all live a year prior. Before
I mean,
finally recording it.
that's a callback. That's a callback to Adam Hart, where they're essentially rehearsing on stage. They're jamming different parts to Adam Hart and saying, "Hey, this is working. This is not working. People like this, but this doesn't feel right. Let's keep this, but get rid of this." And eventually, kind of curating an album on stage while performing, the tour of another album. And that's weird.
And do you know what band famously did it after them? Was the Mars Volta.
Oh.
They did. No, that's how they recorded Francis, Amputexture, Goliath.
I mean, all their
Especially
music
those
sounds the
three
same anyway, so it doesn't really fucking matter.
Dude, that's why. Oh, you bought all the vinyl.
I didn't buy all their vinyl.
You bought like half their shit. So don't give me that bullshit. You love the Mars Volta. Get off your little cuck horse over here.
My little white horse, my little pony horse.
You're my little pony cuck horse over there.
My little pony cuck horse.
You're the worst sometimes. But the Mars Volta, they did that a lot too. You would hear a lot of shit a year and a half prior to the record actually coming out.
Yeah, I like the idea of bands just like workshopping sounds and songs and ideas live, like in front of
It's
people.
cool.
It
really
is.
cool.
It's cool, and I mean I don't know if that's the way like all music should be. I don't know. I just think it's a different, cool, interesting facet of live music.
I think it keeps your chops up too, and you have to be on your game to be able to do that, because you can easily fall flat on your face trying to do that, trying to write new music in front of a 5,000 people.
And I mean, there's a
It
lot
could
of
be a
like
disaster.
there are a lot of traditionalists out there. Friend of the pod, Mickey, he is one of them. There are a lot of traditionalists out there that feel that if you cannot play your song in its entirety the way it sounds on record live, then you shouldn't even be doing it anyway. And so it's
Not fair.
It is not fair because music is so much deeper than that. There's a lot of like nuance to music and ideas, and just because us as humans are relegated live music to not be able to have a 50-piece orchestra to sing the vocal harmonies for Bohemian Rhapsody, like why should I not be able to put it onto music? Like that, it's silly boy
True,
talk.
yeah.
I have ideas here that I'm putting in. It's weird.
And then also for some bands, they like to jam on one song. Like some bands do it really well, where they'll take like a 4-minute song of theirs and they'll stretch it out to 7 or 8 minutes, just because they want to noodle around and just kind of play off of each other and break up the monotony of a tour. And I think that's totally okay. That's awesome. And they don't have to play it perfectly. They shouldn't have to play it perfectly. Really.
Oh, are you talking about the Grateful Dead? Yeah.
I'm just talking about, well, mainly not them because they're not that great. But
Mainly not them.
a lot of other bands.
Mainly not the jam band. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like the worst of the. I don't even say they're the best of the big jam bands, but that's not saying a lot.
Well, like two.
There's Fish and Grateful Dead. That's it. That's all you need. That's more than enough, honestly.
Okay.
What we're talking about On the Run.
Yeah, On the Run. It's a song of noises and sounds, letting everything kind of just sort of develop naturally, develop slowly. This is the stereo sound of that like distorted helicopter sound.
Oh, I love it.
Going from channel to channel. This is one where I realized early on, this is the third track, where I was like, fuck, man, the earbuds aspect of this, or the headphones aspect of this, is wildly different than like the vinyls, like listening to on the vinyls. And it kind of almost makes you think that they made this album to be listened to like on earphones, because that was weird. Like I felt anxious. I just felt weird. I felt weird in a way that I don't normally feel when listening to music. Just felt weird.
Well, they had also, I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, any sort of Pink Floyd or sound engineer purist would correct me, but they had recorded this album in like a quadraphonic style, to where you had to get the proper listen, you had to listen to it with a certain speaker setup and something like that. It was recorded in a very specific way to where you're not going to hear it in its full unless it was that way. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean the quadraphonic, as I know it, and that's just from my brief experience with our local record shop owner Desi, and he's explained it to me before. But it was just kind of like a failed attempt at bringing stereo to stereo. You're multiplying 2 channels to like 4 channels and trying to make sounds like that. But like what made this really cool, and what I think would be really awesome to hear it in like a quadraphonic aspect, is if you had like 4 speakers. But like if you're just facing a wall and you had the first speaker to your left like 100 feet away, and the speaker to that left, 20 feet away, whatever, and spaced them out like 30, 40 feet, what is happening here is the Doppler effect, where a car driving towards you sounds different than a car driving away from you, because of the sound waves bouncing to and from that are getting closer and closer and closer. And as it's driving away, it's taking more time to go back and forth. And so with a quadraphonic like that, I think that would be a cool sound. But I don't know. I don't have a quadraphonic setup. I don't have a quadraphonic record. I don't know if that's even a thing. If that makes a difference, I don't know.
Well, I think it's just the logistics of it they're out of the price range of most people. And space of people aren't going to set up 4 giant speakers and set them up a certain way for a small amount of records.
I actually do have one quadraphonic record, and it's Janis Joplin. It's a Janis Joplin record, and it's just in my to sell list. But it's a quadraphonic pressing, but I don't have like the speakers to hook it up to. And if I did, I would be totally down to like listen to the nuance of it. I mean, I want to know.
I mean, it would be pretty fucking rad. And
I don't know. Who knows if it's cool? But it didn't catch on. It didn't catch on, so I can't imagine that it's that great.
But like I said, I think it didn't catch on because of the cost of it, the cost of the record itself to make it that way, to record it that way, the cost it is to have the speaker, to have the actual setup to listen to it, because you have to have the right speakers, the right preamps, the right everything has to be perfect for it to have that, for you to have that experience. And the layman people aren't going to have that, especially
didn't catch on at all.
Even in the 70s.
Like even in our vinyl group, no one has ever posted like, "Oh, dude, you guys, if you never heard like quadraphonic stuff, like you should really check it out. It's amazing. It'll change your life." Like nobody talks about it. Even in the most like vinyl of vinyl groups, nobody ever talks about it.
Have you ever? You should make a post about it.
I'm fucking going to. I'm gonna take a picture of my Joplin record. Because I'm curious.
I'm very curious too. I am. And this song uses the panning and the stereo use of it perfectly. And it's an instrumental, obviously. And from what I was reading too, this song pretty much just came from them fucking around with a new synthesizer they got. They really didn't know what they were doing, so they were just making noises, and this was kind of the result of that. And I think that's so cool to throw this onto this record.
It's solid, and that again, I think it's called the Doppler. I just looked it up again. It's called the Doppler effect, and that's a sound that an object makes moving towards you is different than an object moving away from you, because the sound waves are bouncing closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. Yeah, and it's cool.
Should we play a little bit of this song?
Play a little bit of it, and then I'm going to run and go to the bathroom probably while you're playing it, or we could take a little break after. I don't know what you want to do.
No, I'll play it. I'll play it right now. I will say though, when people listening to this podcast, maybe I shouldn't though, because when you listen to the podcast, it's all in mono, so you're not going to hear the panning.
So we went from quadraphonic to mono,
to like the word, the complete opposite.
Like we're just like cutting it away. Okay, that's fine.
At least you get the gist of it, and then you'll want to go listen to it. So here's On the Run from the Pink Floyds. There you go, a bit of On the Run from Pink Floyd. There's so much more to this song. Anybody listening, you got to go listen to this with headphones on. This entire record. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's fucking unbelievable. So get into that. Do we got anything else on this song? What do you think?
No.
That's it. No, that's all right, so let's move on. Let's move on to Time. This is my 1B. This is definitely the best song on the entire record. So what are your kind of initial thoughts on this one?
Dang, so I don't even know. Like the clocks, the timing. So like the biggest takeaway from this for me was Alan Parsons. And Alan Parsons is part of the Alan Parsons Project, which is a really, really fucking boring kind of art rock prog band that friend of the pod Sloan loves. And I've listened to way more Alan Parsons Project than I ever will for the rest of my life. But to find out that he is kind of like the mastermind behind a lot of the ideas, not just of this album, but kind of like some of the techniques that's going on, that was peculiar. That made me want to go back and re-listen to some of the Alan Parsons Project, to be honest.
I know. I was very surprised by that too. And then I remember reading something about that Roger Waters said. I think it was Roger. He said that Alan Parsons taken more credit for the record than he should have. It was more about the band rather than his technique. It's like, dude, come on.
Okay, yeah, that was after the fact. After it blew up, like relax, guy.
Yeah, that was kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, right. He's a cuck for sure. Absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. The clock starts up. It starts up so well. It's such a good like wake up. You know what I mean? Like Beethoven's that story of how Beethoven did that part extra loud because people were falling asleep during his performances. Like
I didn't know that. I never heard that story.
Yeah, I mean, this is completely hearsay and anecdotal, and
Yeah,
it could be completely false, but I have heard stories of Beethoven the because every part after that is very quiet, it's very soft. He wrote the part to wake people up because they were falling asleep during his performances. So you just slam down those fucking keys to wake everybody up. In much the same way, that time when the clocks start here, that's gonna fucking wake you up. And coming off of On the Run, which is a fucking banger of a song, but it's very quiet. You could fall asleep to On the Run. You could.
Yeah, no, I agree because it has that. It's that
metronome.
Soothing.
It's a
soothing
metronome song.
Yeah,
and time comes in, and it's just a bunch of clocks recorded individually and then thrown together into one to create this really, really obnoxious, jarring sound.
Yeah, literally, Alan Parsons went to like a clock shop, a fucking clock shop. Who goes to a clock shop? Where do they even? where are they nowadays?
Where do you even find a
where do you go to a
clock
clock shop? He
It's
goes
like
there
an
and
English thing, a clock shop. What the fuck is that?
unless you're like in like Germany and you go to like like a cuckoo clock or whatever, like that's the only thing I could think of. Like that has to be
Fucking
it.
clock.
Yeah, and so he goes there and records like a bunch of different clocks individually, and then brings them into the studio. As he actually did this as like a studio experiment. It was never meant to be on this record. It was all just like a kind of a random thing. Like they I guess like Roger had come across it and knew about this and thought it sounded really cool, so they decided to make this a part of the record. But at first, it was never supposed to be a part of it. And what I was gonna say, every time those bells go off, it scares me. Every fucking time, I jolt a little bit. I get a little scared.
Because they're so loud.
Yeah,
Like,
and you
they
just don't
purposely
expect
put
it.
them
Like,
so loud in the mix.
they do, and because the way the last song fades out, it could bleeds into this song. It really does. It bleeds into this song a little bit, but it fades out, and then it hits you so loud and so hard. It gets me every time.
No, it's fantastic. This is, if I had to pick like my 1B, this would not be my 1B, but
Okay.
I don't know. It's perfect. It's slow bass build. When the song like drops into the groove, it's the best drop on the album. It's the best.
Yeah.
I think it might be like the best part of the album is when it drops into the groove.
And it drops in a little. I think it drops in at like 2 minutes and 15 seconds or 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So you get quite a build up.
You got to work
until
for
that
it.
part.
You got to work for it, and I think that's like another reason why I like this album is I have to work for the relief. Most albums will throw out like build ups, and they're stereotypical build ups, but this one makes you like work for it. This one puts you through hell to get to that relief, and the clocks are that hell. And like we hear a metronome, which is like reminiscent of the sound of running, right? And we just hear it, like we just heard it from like On the Run, and we hear this metronome thing. So like in slow bass build, and it builds up to the drop. Like we got to work for this shit because it's unconventional. It's weird. It's not that melodic. It's just kind of, it's almost like filler, but it's so weird from being typical filler that we're mesmerized. We have to listen.
But to me, I feel like you kind of need it, especially after reading the lyrics and what those are about. Like to me, the build up, the first notes are like just like this impending doom with the bass, the subtle kind of guitar line, but then the keys come in like extra heavy, kind of like the Beethoven thing, like you were saying. And it comes in super heavy, but it's very impending, and it builds and builds and builds on that for the 2 minutes, and then it immediately drops into like this happier tone. Once the vocals drop in, it becomes like a completely different song. It's like, to me, it's the narrator coming out of like a daydream, like not a, I guess kind of a nightmare, but him just kind of in his own thoughts and just thinking about like all the bad things that are going to be happening to him in his future, and then something just like happens and he snaps out of it, and now he's back into real life, and there's this. It's happier, but to me, there's still like this like melancholy sound to it all. That's what I get musically on this, and I feel like to me it goes hand in hand with the lyrics.
I like that. My measly little lyric output here was just a song about realizing you're no longer preparing for life, but living in it. preparing for the future, but like while forgetting the present is becoming the past type of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But
But
I
see,
like
that's good too.
I like yours a lot better. I do.
But see, I'm only going mostly off of the music part of it. Because, we've all kind of been there. You kind of get lost in your own thoughts where you're just like thinking of all the worst possible scenarios of what's going to happen in the next couple days or the next day or whatever. And then there's something happens, like something brings you out of that. And then it's like back to like kind of happiness, but you still have that impending doom in the back of your mind. And that's where that kind of melancholy comes into the happiness of the music. Because it's not an overtly happy song once the vocals come in. I think it's a beautifully written song, and that to me is why this is the best song on the record.
I mean, the first like 2 fucking minutes are just dum dum dum.
That's what I'm talking about.
Dum, and that's just you're right. That's.
We've all had those moments where we're just like, you think like nothing good is going to happen. Whatever you're thinking about, nothing good is going to happen, and then you snap out of it.
Well, that's a very like I don't know. Maybe that's a very Jedi Obi-Wan way of thinking about the future. Is not at the expense of the present. That's a very Qui-Gon Obi-Wan lesson to be learned, right? From episode 1, that was what Obi-Wan was worried about with the future. He says, "Well, not I should always be mindful of the future, but not at the expense of the present." That's fucking time. Even the name time is such it's such a arbitrarily specific word. Time, right? Like we all know what time is, but really nobody knows fuck what time is.
It's true, and I don't know. Like when you really think about it, it's like how we perceive time is so different than like a 5-year-old perceive time.
Dude, time is relative, baby.
It's stupid. Or like how animals perceive
Wait
time.
till you get into Fringe. Oh, jeez. Wait till you get into Fringe and talk about time. Ooh.
Oh God.
I'm gonna rewatch Fringe with you, and I swear to God, if they fucking play "Time" by Pink Floyd at any point in that series, I'm gonna die. I will die. I'm getting giddy right now. I'm getting giddy. I'm smiling. This is good.
Should I play a bit of this song? And if I do, where should I start? Like closer to the happy part, so we hear some of the impending doom, or at the beginning? What do you think?
I don't even know. I don't know.
This one's hard because
I want people to hear the clocks, but like I don't know. I haven't fucking
that
no
first
idea.
note hit is so yeah, it's so loud and it's so
that's
abrasive.
Nasty. That's one of those notes that like digs deep into your chest cavity and like vibrates your heart in a way that just feels like intrusive and weird and kind of, I don't know, uncomfortable and unwanted, but good.
Yeah.
But good.
And what I love so much about this song too is that I love when Gilmour and Wright sing with each other or sing right after one another. I feel like their voices are just they're a little bit similar, but they go together so well, and I love it. And they do share vocals a lot on this song. And then there's like that chorus group that comes in with the I think there's like 3 girls. I can't remember their names right now, but they come in and they have some amazing parts on this song as well to fill in the chorus. And the way that they sing on top of Richard Wright's keyboard playing, it's this perfect mashup of just music and sound, and the song is truly a masterpiece. It really is a masterpiece.
It is, and like I said earlier, when the song drops, like it drops hard. It's arguably like the best transition within a song, within the album, on the album.
Yeah.
And the bass is funky, it's groovy, but then the guitar, like he's matching it almost note for note. It's choppy, it's also very funky. It's a perfect blend. It's the only time in the album I think that they're both really trying to play their instruments to their fullest, to their fullest capabilities, and meshing well together, like perfectly. And
yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that.
Dude, the solo is just as you expect to have it, right? It's a psychedelic fucking trip. It's non-show-offy. It's a groove that leads like the melody. It carries the song on its own, really. And the solo still plays really well with like Waters' bass riff. And like towards the end of the song, it gets back to that easygoing riffage from the beginning. And dude, it's just... And like the end... Like the end of this, it has a song transition and it utilizes like a different root chord, right? So we're used to to the whatever the A whatever chord it's in, or the 4/5. I don't know. If we're getting into the crazy, trailing off
The
here.
actual songwriting part of it, yeah.
But like the last of it, it goes into like a different chord, which is still in line with what they're talking about, with what they're saying, with what they're playing, but it's off key. But it's only off key because we know what's been happening for the past 5 minutes. But it's not off key because it transitions into a different key to the next song. And that's the only other song that I know that just offhand that does it like that is Only in Dreams by Weezer. At the very end of Only in Dreams is this
You reference that song a lot.
Because it's so fucking good. Because it's so goddamn good. And that's it, because it's a classic song that's oft forgotten. And I want to give more credit where credit is not ever being due.
Given.
But time is like that. And I like, again, I don't know, because this is an instance where I think this band is not that great, but they are playing to their fullest potential. But then they do shit like this. They do shit like this that's like, okay, this is next level thinking stuff. So this makes me think that either they are like really like Limitless, Bradley Cooper taking that pill and really using their mind to its fullest fucking capabilities, or they're smarter.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, Limitless. You ever seen Limitless?
No, I've never seen Limitless.
Oh, dude, Bradley Cooper. It's a movie where Bradley Cooper takes like this ecstasy pill, and it makes him use his brain. You know, everybody says, "Oh, we only use 10% of our brains." Bradley Cooper takes his pill where he uses 100% of his brain, and he turns into this psychotic genius that like can fucking bend time and shit. It's fucking weird. It's trippy. But like that's what this. What am I going with this? What are you talking about?
I don't know. You brought this up. I thought you meant to say like Bradley Noel, like with like a songwriting thing, but then you jumped to Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah, no. It's an instance like this that makes me almost think that these guys are smarter than I give them less credit for, because I don't think that they're very great musicians. I just think they're using their own good musicianship to its fullest potential. But then things like this transition, things like using these different chordages to transition to a different song, makes me think that they are better than I thought that they were, which I still don't think that they are. I think they are just literally maxing out their own personal like musicianship bar. If we're doing like an RPG thing, like they've maxed out their stats.
Yeah. No, I get it. I feel
that's
like
a good way to put it. Dark Side is this band maxing out their stats. They've now maxed out their stats.
That's fair. I also feel like they understand the concept of it, but they don't always know how to they don't always know how to not comprehend it, but execute it. They don't know how to execute the concept, but they understand it. So when they do come across it, they think, "Oh fuck, we did it. Let's expand on it." And this is one of those examples. Yeah. That's what this is. Yeah. That makes any fucking sense. So I don't think we should play Time. Time is a song that you have to listen to from front to back.
Well, like where would you start it? Where would you end it?
You can't. There's too much. So we got to skip this one.
I don't. Yeah. It's not fair. It's not fair.
No, not at all. Okay, the next song here is The Great Gig in the Sky.
Okay, we got to go back a little bit because I did the research on it. Because I did the research on it. I want to talk about it.
On Time?
Yeah.
Okay, then what do you got? You
Nick Mason. He's used. I didn't tell you I didn't.
You did. That's okay.
I never did that. When you listen to this again, I'll triple or nothing you right now. I know for a fact I didn't. Nick Mason uses this thing called rototoms.
Yes.
And I didn't know what the fuck a rototom was. And then I read the wiki entry for what rototom, and I still didn't quite understand what the fuck a rototom was. So I watched a video on YouTube. I said, what the fuck is a rototom? I typed it in. I said, what the fuck is a rototom? And this guy showed me a video of what the fuck a rototom was. And these are super dope. Like, have you seen these?
Yeah, they're cool.
in
they're
real
like
life?
Aren't they super thin, like, not snares, but just toms without the chain? Or snares without the chain, right?
I mean, what they are really is a drum head that you can rotate like clockwise or counterclockwise to achieve a different pitch. So you are rotating it 90 degrees, 180 degrees, whatever it is, to like achieve a different pitch. But they have like a really solid crack to them. And if you watch like videos of guys playing rototoms, and they'll have like 5 of them or 6 of them, And if you can get a guy that will have like I don't know 12 rototoms or like 15 rototoms,
Jesus.
they theoretically could play any song ever because they have every single note in like the keys, right? Like a keyboard, like a piano, like any octave, anything they want to play, they could play it with the rototoms.
Yeah.
So you hit it, and with your hand, you move it like 90 degrees. You hit it again, and it's a different note. It's fucking crazy.
Cool.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's pretty
cool. They looked fucking great. It looked like cool like rims on a car. They look see through. They look fucking dope. And I never heard of these before. I'd never seen it before. And this was just something that blew my mind also, that somebody used these ever, because they seem like a complete novelty.
They kind of are, though, because nobody ever really uses them.
100% novelty. Like, this is impractical in a rock band status.
Yeah. Unless you're recording in studio, there's really no reason to use it.
But damn, fucking dope. I would buy them in a heartbeat. I swear to God I would.
They can't be that expensive. Maybe a couple $100 at most.
Yeah, we'll see.
Are they all the same diameter and size?
So like Remo made them, like the drumhead company Remo.
Yeah.
They made I think the original rototoms. So I would assume that they didn't catch on, so nobody wants them anymore. But given that like Nick Mason made them wildly popular on Dark Side, that makes me worried that like, oh, these are fucking Nick Mason's rototoms. I'm from Dark Side. Now they're $2,000.
They're very 80s looking as well. Like I could see a lot of 80s drummers using them on their kits.
Dude, they sound so good though. Like, I mean, if you ever get around to watching any video of somebody playing them, man, that crack. Like you like a good a good snare crack. You like a good. I know you like a good snare crack.
Give me a good piccolo snare.
Fuck, man. You listen to these cucks and schmucks playing these rototoms. Ooh, ooh. It's literally like somebody cracking like a good like chewing gum, like a good like 60s Sandlot fucking Babe Ruth chewing gum.
See, I've always seen these drums. I'm familiar with them, but I've never heard them played. Like I've seen them on drummers' kits. Like I know. What's it? Terry Bozzio has had them on his kit. Neil Peart I think has had them. I think even one of the guys from Primus. I don't know if it was Brain or if it was what's his name, but Tim. But I know somebody from Primus has had them. So definitely seen them, but never heard them played.
And that's fucking dope. If I think now going forward, if I see somebody have these on their kit, I am automatically going to hold them in higher regard.
even if they never play them,
even if they never play,
just because they have them on their
dude.
kit. Yeah.
I wonder if Michael on the Road had a bunch of these rototoms, right?
But Michael on the Road only ever played guitar to a backing track. He never had a drummer.
Didn't. No, he was the
I don't
drummer.
think he ever had a drummer.
No, Michael on the Road was only a drummer. Yeah, he was only
you're
a
thinking
drummer.
of somebody else.
No.
No, you're thinking.
You're thinking of the dreadlock dude. He was only the drummer, or he was only the guitar player. Michael on the Road was the guy that had like a gong, and he had like the big old mallets, and he'd like wave his arms in the air, like he's like flailing in a fire. Michael on the Road was only a percussionist. Sure? Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, that was Michael on the Road.
See, I'm trying to look it up right now, but because anybody who's not from like Southern California who went to Disneyland a lot in the 2000s, there's some couple guys, musicians who would play in downtown Disney, and this guy Michael on the Road, it was terrible.
Well, there was essentially two people that played at downtown Disney that got our attention. One was Michael on the Road because he is just a percussionist, and he had a 45-piece drum set and with a gong and all these things, and he was a solid percussionist. But he would play to a backing track of like symphonic music, and it was dumb. It was stupid. But he was a really good drummer. Whatever. The other guy was, I don't remember his name because he didn't have a goofy name like Michael on the Road. But the other guy was just some like dreadlock dude that played an acoustic guitar and would occasionally attach a like tambourine to his foot to where he'd be playing like these crazy bluesy riffs. But that was not Michael on the Road. That guy was
I could have them mixed up.
That was like Jimmy or fucking somebody. I don't know who the fuck it was, but that dude was fantastic.
I could have them mixed up, but
No, you can't have them mixed up because you do have them mixed up. That's what's happening here. I fucking guarantee you have them mixed up.
dude, I put in Michael on the Road into Google, nothing. I put Michael on the Road Downtown Disney, nothing came up.
Oh, that's brutal. Poor guy.
Dude, he was there like every other day.
I know.
Like there's no.
I'll tell you what.
Internet presence.
You ask Ryan. You ask friend of the pod Ryan if he remembers Michael on the Road, and ask him what instrument he played.
I will.
Don't say anything else.
No, I'll say. Do you remember Michael on the Road at Downtown Disney? Like we used to go there on the way into Disneyland. And then if he says yeah, then I'll say, what do you remember about him? Like what instrument did he play? We'll see. We'll see how it is. We'll see what he says.
He'll be one side of the coin. The other side of the coin would be Annie. Like Annie would know for sure, like empirically, which Michael on the Road. Yeah.
Because the only reason I know Annie would know is because Annie and I would make fun of him all the fucking time. Like it became this running joke between her and I.
But that means you're making if you think the other guy is Michael on the Road, then you're making fun of the guy that was actually really good.
I think Michael on the Road was the guy who played the acoustic guitar and played the foot tambourine and had these little other things. And he had this huge, like, not even backdrop, but like it was a mix between like a backdrop and a poster sitting behind him. And he sold CDs. And that was Michael on the Road. And that's why we made fun of him, because he wasn't very good at all. Like his music was just beyond boring.
I think you're mixing the two into one bad musician.
I don't know. Otherwise, this is a really wild tangent that, like I said, nobody would understand unless you went to Disneyland a lot between the years of 2001 and like 2010. You would have no idea what we're talking about.
Very small percentage of people on Earth. As opposed to like the entire populace of Earth liking Dark Side of the Moon, The Dark Side of the Moon, the great gig in the sky. That's the next song we're talking about.
Great Gig in the Sky. Track 5.
What
do you got on this one?
I mean, it's Breathe. Similar to Breathe, the beginning part of this has this slide of stuffs and the lead stuffs. It's similar and it's fine. I think the Great Gig in the Sky exists because of the vocal part, the female vocal part. That's why this song exists, right? And it's sung by somebody named Claire Torrey.
Claire Torrey, yes.
I've never heard of her, and I don't think that's a fault by anybody, because nobody ever would. She was a session vocalist from the Abbey Road Studios era. She laid down 2 takes on this track and then stopped midway through the third and was like, you know what? I felt like I've already done my best. At this point, I'm just going to be repetitive. I'm done. And that was it. Fucking dope, dude. Like that's it. That's all. You know what I mean? Like, what more do you want from me? It's a really, really good extended vocal solo. And normally this shit would piss me off. This shit would be like, why you have this here? This is a rock band. This is a prog band. This is a band that's like conceptualizing something. But now we have a vocal part where somebody's using their vocals as an instrument. And that's fine, whatever, I guess. But in terms like of a rock band, I don't understand it. But on this one, I dig because I think it's such a good transition from Time to Money. And I think it's just
almost like you kind of have to, you need this like relaxing period. Or not this is almost like an interlude.
Dude, Time takes a lot out of you. It really does. There's a lot to digest. There's a lot going on with Time. And I think going from Time to Money, where we're just talking about 2 like really, really heavy things, we need somebody in the middle to kind of break up that I don't know, that depressing monotony almost. Yeah. But even the way she sings, she's such a fucking killer singer. And I don't know if she's a killer singer, but I just know she's a killer singer right now.
And from what I was reading too, she came in and they really gave her, at first they didn't give her really any guidance. And they were like, here are some of the, they pretty much said like, here's the high part, the low part. Here's kind of what we want you to sing. And then she actually tried to like throw in actual words and like, no. No words. Just sing. And then that kind of threw her off. And then according to her, she said at that point she realized, okay, I'm going to use my my voice more as an instrument rather than a vocal thing, like a singer. So she the way she approached it mentally was very different in the end, and that's why we get this particular performance, because she kind of treated it as like a guitar solo or like a keyboard solo or piano solo. She treated it more as that rather than an overall like vocal melody, and and it was really cool. It worked out really well, and then. I mean, yeah, she was paid as a session musician. I think she was paid like 30
$30, baby.
30. I think as the English would say, 30 quid. I think that's the proper
whatever
the proper
the
thing
fuck
to say.
a quid. That's like an animal quid. These Englishmen
I don't know
and
what
their
the fuck a quid is.
yeah, I don't know what the fuck a quid is. These Englishmen and their fucking monetary denominations.
Fucking Skip over here. He'll let us know. He'll let us know. What
You ever heard of a
is.
quarter or a dime? Come on, guys.
Have you heard of George Washington?
That's so good.
It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
So fucking douchebaggy.
It
It's
is.
so,
It's so
good.
terrible.
You ever heard of George Washington? That's like something like somebody who supports Donald Trump would say. Like, you ever heard of George? You ever heard of the Constitution?
It's so
that was
dumb.
good. That was a good one.
I think we found the opener for this episode.
You ever heard of George Washington?
Oh, that was so dumb. But anyway, yeah, she was paid £30 or 30 quid, I think, and which comes out to be, I think, like $5,000 or $4,000 or something in today's standards. And so she didn't even know she was going to be on the record, because I guess there was no enthusiasm after she recorded the tracks. So she supposedly she didn't even know she was on it until she saw the record at the record store after it was released, and she saw she was credited. And then I guess in 2004, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 2004, she ended up like suing them and like for more money and for like songwriting credits. And then in 2005, she was given the songwriting credit and an undisclosed amount of money, settlement money, which it's cool. I mean, I don't knock her for that at all.
It's hard because without knowing, I mean, like we're talking a history of almost 50 years, right? Like we don't know what transpired between her doing this and then her suing. And like the way we're made to believe is she did the studio work and she was paid for it and that's it. Let's call it a day. But I mean, it's like nothing's ever that easy. And so if there was any like unscrupulous act, if they withheld information from her and said, oh yeah, we're going to do this and whatever, I don't know, paying somebody 30 squids as opposed to you making, $500 million. Like, yeah, there's going to be a little animosity. And like, if she had reached out and like, hey dude, like, just so you know, like the Great Gig in the Sky, people love that shit. Like, do you mind throwing me some cash? And if they had said like, nah, fuck off, eh? That was a horrible accent.
That was great.
But like if they had said fuck off, then like maybe she should be, upset about it or whatever. But I don't know. There's way more nuance to it, and people should be getting paid for what they fucking put in. That is just bottom line, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like you put in
also,
work, you get paid for it.
Kind of also, reading more about the legal battles between Roger Waters and Pink Floyd after Waters had left in 1985. I mean, this is a whole nother story. Like the whole battle between Waters and Gilmour is stupid.
Silly boy talk.
Fucking Waters tried to sue them for, use of the name, and they're like, there's never been anything formal in writing under the Pink Floyd name. Like, nobody owns that.
No,
like,
you guys are barely musicians, for God's sakes.
Like, you did, it's almost like they did everything wrong in the beginning to sign as Pink Floyd and like make this like a huge proper corporation. So if they weren't able to do that, why? I mean, something as simple as this Claire Torrey woman coming back for more money is, I mean, Pink Floyd's obviously going to lose if they couldn't even get their own band name, under the proper ownership. Yeah, this whole band and Roger Waters more specifically is just a shit show. Disaster.
Which is, I mean, it's impressive because I mean, like Dark Side is fucking. We're like what 7-8 albums deep here in Pink Floyd's discography, and they still haven't learned to be better businessmen. And I mean, music is supposed to be about the music, but like music is also a business. You are creating a brand. You are creating like a namesake for yourself. And Harvest Records, which was not a independent group. It was owned by Capitol. Like it was fucking. You know what I mean? It was. I don't know. It was. They're big business.
And then
they're big business.
Even Gilmore. Fuck, I don't remember what year it was, but Gilmore realized that they were kind of getting ripped off, and he actually took control over all the finances and the paperwork and the royalties and everything. And ever since he started to do everything himself, everybody started to get paid properly for their royalties. So apparently, for a long time, it was a fucking giant shit show until Gilmore took control of it all.
Because
which is so weird.
I mean, it's not weird because this is like another example of just people that want to be in a band and be in a rock band so badly that they will hire somebody and not look at like tax returns, not look at like where the expenses are going. And it's as long as the girls and the drugs and the booze and some money is coming in, they don't care. But
isn't it also? But think about it this way too. Like so Pink Floyd, obviously one of the biggest bands of all time. You have a band like that who we hear very little from like manager wise and all that kind of stuff. But then when you get to a band like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Zeppelin, their managers and their financial people they're so ingrained in the history of that band. But with Pink Floyd, it's the complete opposite. You never read about anybody related to the band outside of the 4 band members or 5 band members.
That is weird.
Isn't that kind of weird? Right? Like, because I
weird.
remember especially doing the Rolling Stones thing. Remember they got in. They were with like that big banker guy, that $1 billion banker guy, and Zeppelin had their shit, and then all the bullshit with the Beatles managers over the 12 years that they were a band, but nothing with Pink Floyd. But
maybe that's just because I don't know. Maybe that's just because it took Waters and Gilmore longer to realize that there's a lot of money getting skimmed off the top.
But just like how can they just have been taken advantage of? Like if they had been taken advantage of, how could that have been for so long? Or not even for so long. Maybe they weren't even being taken advantage of. Like how is it that nobody came along to try to take advantage of them?
Like the pessimistic in me looks at things like that when a manager becomes as big as the band, especially with like the Beatles, right? Like a lot of their managers, I can't name them off the top of my head because I don't like the Beatles. I literally don't care.
But we literally just talked about it too.
And I literally don't care. Literally,
but what I mean is like, we were just talking about it, so that's why it's being brought up.
I know, but when band managers become as big as the band, that makes me think that the band manager has now taken upon themselves to make them relevant, and I think that is weird. And that again, that's just the pessimist in me, is just me thinking that you are not like you are a vital part of the band. Yes, like the band would probably not exist without you. I get it. You are booking shows. You are doing a lot of things that the band cannot do for themselves. But by you thinking you are the band or part of the band, is building yourself up bigger than you actually are, thus drawing a bigger paycheck. And I think that from the big bands like the Stones, the Beatles, and then Zeppelin, and Zeppelin for sure too. Like that story we heard about the Grand Funk opening up for Zeppelin and then overshadowing Zeppelin, and the manager for Zeppelin threatening Grand Funk, like, you better fucking tone it down or I'm going to choke you out. Because the manager for Zeppelin at the time was fucking massive.
Yeah.
Like that's just these guys making themselves out to be bigger than they actually are so they can draw a bigger paycheck. Whereas Pink Floyd, their record label, their managers, everybody for Pink Floyd is surreptitiously, sneakily doing things, drawing bigger paychecks, and not causing any trouble. Much like MLB owners and much like the Illuminati. Much like the Illuminati of Earth. Like all these old money folks here are drawing big paychecks and not causing any waves. They let us kind of sort it out ourselves, right?
Yeah, it could be.
That's like Pink Floyd.
Or maybe Pink Floyd, the guys in Pink Floyd secretly sold their rights. They made like a non-disclosure thing saying you can't talk about this, or that, and we'll give you X amount, a lot of money, but we'll make the most of it, and that's why they're one of the most successful bands of all time. and they haven't made a big fuss about any sort of manager or record label overstepping.
Well, they're also not. I mean, they've made a lot of pop music too, but Pink Floyd is not in the same plane as like the Beatles. Like Pink Floyd has not made.
But they're close. They're close.
As far as success, yes, but as far as like making a recognizable pop song, like no, not even close.
But when we're talking about
not in the same solar
influence,
system.
But when we're talking about influence, you can argue yes.
Honestly, Pink Floyd is dumbed down to the cover art of Dark Side of the Moon.
So you're saying
I fucking hate the Beatles, and I cannot stand the early days of the Beatles, but like I Want to Hold Your Hand will live on longer than any Pink Floyd song. But
no, you're right.
The cover art of Dark Side of the Moon will live on longer than goddamn near any, besides Abbey Road, the cover art of Dark Side of the Moon will live on longer than probably any other musical facet ever.
It's possible, yeah.
Ever.
And I don't really want to say this because it will tarnish the way you feel about Pink Floyd, but I'm going to say it anyway because I don't care. Pink Floyd is the Sex Pistols of prog rock.
Oh.
Is that fair? I don't like it. I don't like
nasty.
it.
It's nasty. But
I don't like it.
But I will say, no. No, that's right. I had a rebuttal, but then I realized Sex Pistols fit in with my rebuttal, so.
But then remember also, Johnny Rotten was famous for wearing that Pink Floyd shirt at the beginning of Sex Pistols saying, Pink Floyd sucks or fuck Pink Floyd or something stupid like that. So maybe they are. Maybe they are the equivalent of the Sex Pistols to the genre. You never know. I don't like it, but you never know.
I mean, like we've had this conversation over and over of prog rock being not just like a musical term, but also like a mindset, like punk. Like punk is not just a sound, but also a mindset. And Pink Floyd does both really well. They do like Animals, like fuck me, that is a really, really good prog rock album. But Dark Side is a better prog rock album in mindset than Animals was. Like they set out to do something different, and dude, like money, time, like things are fucking weird on this one. So like the mindset aspect of the prog rock realm of Dark Side is better than Animals in that aspect. Even though I like Animals better, and I think it's a better prog rock album, it's just different. Like why is Pink Floyd like one of the most underrated, overrated bands of all time? They really are.
I don't know.
They really are, right?
No, I agree. Because they're literally their three most popular albums. I think only one of them is truly amazing, and that's Dark Side.
And people only fucking know The Wall. Honestly, fucking honest to God.
I know.
People only know The Wall because they only know that one part.
Yeah, the second part, not even the other two parts.
I don't even know the two part. I just know the one part. Like I just listen to it.
I only really know the other parts because of Korn. That's really it. Because Korn did a great cover of all four parts technically. Because they did Goodbye Cruel World as well. But yeah, that's really the only reason why I know the entirety of that song. It's because of Korn. Otherwise, yeah, you only know part two. Part two is that's the only important part, a great part.
I'm gonna start asking people like because I talk about music at the bar a lot, and I'm gonna start asking people if they like Pink Floyd. Of course, everybody likes Pink Floyd, right? I'm gonna say, name your top 3 favorite Pink Floyd albums. And I swear to fucking God, if their top 3 are Dark Side, fucking Wish You Were Here, and The Wall, I'm gonna kick them out. They're gone. They're done. They're 86th. Okay. You're cut off.
Okay, say 5 years ago, you wouldn't be able to name more than those 3.
That's true.
I guarantee
you got me there.
You got me there.
You got me there. No, you got me there. You got me there. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I would not kick him out at that moment.
You would think about it.
I'll ask him why. And then I'll kick him out.
You'll question them further.
You got
before
it.
Kicking him out.
But before I kick him out, I will say, just so you know, you were getting a second chance right now because friend of the pod, Tyler, co-host, actually owner of the pod, said that I should not kick you out at the moment right now. You are lucky. Mm-hmm.
All right, so okay, let's get in, dude. We're halfway.
Let's get into money, baby. Let's get into money. We didn't
even talk about Great Gig, but that's fine.
We did we not? I thought we
didn't. Oh yeah, we did. Oh yeah, we got through most of it. Yeah, let's get into money. You're right.
Yeah, money. Boom, 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 boom,
Like I said at the beginning, this is the first song I had heard from, or that I remember hearing from Pink Floyd, and it stood out. That bass line, the money the cash register, the coins clinging. It's a real standout song.
This is the only song by Pink Floyd ever that I remember listening to in my growing up phase of life. Like this is it. I know money.
Yeah, I mean even the rock stations played this song more than any other song, even more than "Brick in the Wall" or "Comfortably Numb."
Yeah,
this is the big Pink Floyd song that the radio always played.
It's cool, like that iconic like money beat intro. It's, I don't know, it's kind of a cool symbolic gesture that could be taken as like a society finding beauty in money, right? Because like money is kind of like the aspect of the song, and you know, the whole concept of the album is life and death and the trials and tribulations of such, going through the motions. And money, now we are making a beat out of a cash register, but it's a good beat and it makes sense.
It is a great
flows
beat,
and it's solid. But now we're finding beauty in like money, and that's gross. And then it goes into that bass line, and it's the song's like very
so good.
The song is very bluesy. It's a very bluesy little number, but also kind of has like this little like jazzy like staccato feel to it.
The bass playing is very jazzy, but the guitar playing is very bluesy. It's a nice combination of the two styles, because it has that swingy jazz thing going on, the bass wise. But guitar playing is it's more straightforward blues than jazz for sure.
And this is the song that is in like a different time signature that we talked about earlier. This is the 7/4, but like if you tap along to it, like if you're trying to play drums to it, right, you get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. It's tough. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to play drums to. It really is not, because it's unconventional. It's fucking weird. And like David Gilmour later on said, this is actually a 7/8 time signature.
I know. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, guy, relax. You lay down a good bass line and you built a song around it, and you just so happen to have a drummer that could play along to it. Relax. Chill. But fuck me, that bass line is, goddamn, it's beyond good. It is beyond fucking good.
After this song, you hear a lot of bands after this song came out, and you're like, okay, they were inspired by this song. Like, especially once the 90s, like 90s bands hit, you know, I can't even think of any particular band, but I know I've heard shit similar to this particular song. It's so iconic. And going back to like the time signature thing, what I was reading is, as far as like I could tell, this is the only top 20 song to ever have a 7/4 time signature, like top 20, you know, U.S. song to ever have a 7/4 time signature.
Dude, it was probably the only top 20 song to ever have a not 4/4 time signature, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's true.
And that is 100% because of the bass line. You don't even understand how it's not that difficult, but you don't understand like how on top of his game, like the drumming has to be in order to make up for the fact that this is not a 4/4. Like Nick Mason had to be on his game to create a drum beat on top of that bass line, to not overshadow it, to not like jazz it up, because I mean jazz musicians do this shit all the fucking time. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But to not like overshadow, to not overshadow the bass line, but to keep up with it, and it's fucking perfect.
I didn't realize how deep of a song musically this was until this week. I had no fucking clue. It's great. The only thing that I never realized was so cheesy, but I still really like, is the saxophone. I
love the sax.
I always forgot that there's a saxophone.
Stupid.
It is so dumb. This is like the beginning of like bad jazz fusion. Like this, you're writing the line.
There's a lot of
being bad.
We'll get there later on in the album, but yeah, there's some pretty borderline bad jazz fusion.
Yeah, and I just always kind of forget about it when I listen to it. But until this week, when wow, dude, it comes in loud. It comes in aggressive and not even in a cool way. It was a little rough, but it was still good. And then reading more about how like Gilmour tracked his guitar solo, the guitar solo and everything. He double tracked it, playing essentially the same notes but on different sides, and it's a little unnerving when you listen to that solo because it's not perfect. You could tell it's not perfect at all, but damn it serves the song so well. I love it. Absolutely love it.
And that was like that's at the time when the song kicks up into like the more traditional 4/4, and it gets into like a good groove, because it's the 7/4 or the 7/8. It's there, the groove is there, but that's just because you're sticking onto the bass line. But you can kind of like bob your head side to side, but then you realize that your head bobbing from side to side is kind of off. Whereas like on the on beats, you'd be to the left, and the off beats, you'd be to the right. Now it's opposite. So you know something's not quite right, even though you're in time with the song. And that's what's so great about this fucking song, is that anybody that just knows how to just keep a beat, like bobbing their head left to right, knows that this song is a little bit off. There's something a little bit weird about this song that I don't quite know what it is. And that's what's so beautiful about it.
I agree. And what I thought,
accessible jazz shit right here.
Accessible jazz. Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. It really is. And what I think was cool too, because at this point we hadn't really seen Roger Waters, we hadn't seen his ego, come out in full force yet on this record or in this part of their career. And I like that, this is generally a more Roger Waters driven song, with that, especially because that bass line. But I like how he has Gilmour sing the song rather than him. Like he could have easily, this could have been his song, like through and through. But the fact that he was like, David, he pretty much said like, I want you to sing this song. You would be better. And then reading more into like the whole Pink Floyd career, I guess Roger wasn't very confident in his own singing. And that's why David sang a lot of music, even the songs that Roger wrote. David still sang them because Roger was a little bit insecure. And I had no idea. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, not cool that he was insecure, but that he felt that it was cool that he felt comfortable enough for David to sing his lyrics, his music, and all that kind of stuff. I like that.
Yeah, this is the last of the greats right here. Really, I mean,
yeah. Besides Animals, but Animals is it's pretty much a Roger solo record too.
Yeah.
In the end. I mean, he wrote most of the record.
That's
I
true.
mean, I think Gilmour only wrote Dogs. That was the only part of that record he wrote. And even that was like snippets from like B-sides from a solo record. It was something weird like that. So it wasn't even like a true Gilmour song.
And Final Cut's really good, but that's all right.
It's really not, man. It's purgeable. Purgeable.
It's not purgeable.
It is I am purging it. It's not that it's I am purging it. But anyway, we already played Money.
We did play Money.
We kind of talked about it lyrically. Do you have anything else to say about it?
No,
lyrically?
that's it. That's all. We got like 4 more tracks here.
I know. We'll bust through them pretty quick. But Money, another thing lyrically I wanted to mention about what Roger Waters said about this song after, like 10, 15 years after this. He said at the time he was very unsure about writing the song. And then when the whole album blew up, he was very conflicted. Like he pretty much, I'm very much paraphrasing, but he pretty much said, I feel bad because I have a very socialist attitude and viewpoint on life and society, but now I have become a capitalist. I've become everything that I don't like.
I know.
But I've accepted it. He said, I've accepted it, that I've become a capitalist. It's like, and then he said, but I still believe in socialist, whatever, socialist government.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what
Let's
it said.
go that fucking money starts rolling.
I know. It's just like,
Fucking
dude, you're
little
so
cuck.
full of shit.
He is. Of course. Come on, dude. All that fucking dark side money starts to roll in. All that wish you were here money starts rolling. And then when all that the wall money starts to roll in, please, guy.
But then they lost a lot of money on that tour too. Do you remember that? Did you read about that?
They just spent a lot of money on like the extravagant aspects of the tour.
Well,
but they still made a fuck ton of money.
My favorite part of it was that they had fired Richard Wright, and then they hired him on as a session musician, as a session player or a touring player, and Richard ended up making more money than all three of the guys in the band. That was my favorite part of the whole story, was that he made more money after getting fucked over. That was so cool to me. But whatever. Roger Waters, I was very surprised at everything I read about this guy. I agree with some things he says, but overall it's a little rough.
I mean, yeah, you agree with some things he says, but you realize that even the things you agree with are just strictly out of like almost spite. Like I'm entitled to this money because of this, which is like, yeah, it's your fucking money. Like you're entitled to it. You wrote this song, you should be entitled to it. But then it's like, damn, like there's no other, I don't know, there's no other conclusion you could have came to other than I'm leaving this band. Now you're getting sued. Now you're getting sued again. Now you're getting sued again. Like, come on, man. Like, there's, you cannot like reconcile whatsoever with Gilmore to come up with like a better solution than just being a bunch of little babies in court. I guess I don't know. He's a whiner. He's a whiner.
Yeah,
He's a whiner.
He really is.
Fucking Roger Whiner is what his name should be.
Roger Whiner.
Roger Whiners.
I guess this leads into Us and Them. What do you got on this one?
You said that weird. Us and Them.
Us and Them.
Us and Them. Us and Them. Us and Them.
Us and Them.
Us and Them.
Us and Them.
Flawless transition, right? Really, again. Here we are again. Quiet and calm song. This is like their anthemic song on the album, I guess. Organ's just blurring away at the chords. It's immediate sax solo. It's soft. It's slow. It's a building scene. I like Richard Wright hitting just like a couple notes back and forth over and over and over and over. I dig that. There's a lot of layering here, and I don't think like this is the strongest song on the album, but I also think that it is very, very necessary. It's a good transition from Money to like the end part.
This is also a song that was supposed to be originally for a soundtrack for a movie called Zabriskie Point. And I was going to watch it this week, but I just never got around to it. And it was an apparent, like it was a huge flop. and Pink Floyd did add some music to that movie eventually, but this is one of the songs that didn't make the cut. So they kind of reworked it for this movie. But yeah, this is a Richard Wright led song. It's much more piano synth based, and it's nice. It's more of like an airy, ethereal sound, kind of like what you were saying, and it gets loud after like 3 minutes. It kind of gets loud, and then it brings it back to what it was, but it's still like nice sounding. There's nothing that's like abrasive and aggressive and annoying at all. It's just a very pleasant song. But if I were to put this as a banger, this would be my 7B. Like this would be the lowest of the banger.
Okay, given like there should only be 7 songs on this album, this is the worst of the best. Right?
Wait, say that again?
Because you said that earlier on, like there should only be 7 songs on the album because a lot of songs transition and should be like one song. Is that what you're saying? Like this is 7B because there's only 7 songs in your ranking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay, so Us and Them and then Any Color You Like, those are the 2 songs that should be one song.
And then, I mean, Brain Damage and Eclipse should also be one song.
They have to be, yeah. Those have to be one song.
It's silly boy talk. They are not one song.
That's true. So, I mean, yeah, Any Color or Us and Them and then Any Color You Like, those are my 7Bs. Lyrically, I mean, only one of them has lyrics, honestly, and that's Us and Them. And it just criticizes war and just how stupid it is, and none of it makes sense, and why do we send young people to go to war, and why do we listen? Why do we listen to all the bullshit? That's pretty much what it is.
So like going back a little bit, one, the sax on this song gets a little too jazz fusion-y for me at times. Yeah, and I honestly could do without a lot of it. Like especially the later part of it, like I wish it was just cut a little bit short, or I don't know, maybe add a little bit more bass or guitar. Just get the fucking sax out of there, my God. Because I agree, this is the only song on the album, given that there's 10 songs rather than the 7, like you said, but I do believe there should only be 7. This is the song that is the lowest of the low for me. But I will say that there was this cool graph on Genius that showed the sine and cosine lines, which I'm not a math guy at all. I've never liked math.
Yeah,
I like geometry, but I never really liked algebra or anything like that. And I actually had to do summer school because I didn't pass it in high school. And so I just never liked fucking math. But there was this graph on Genius that showed sine and cosine going up and down as a waveform. And it was connected to this little circle that the circle was just going in a circle. But both of the sine and cosine were attached to the circle in a way that made it look like the ups and downs. It seemed like that was life, like the ups and downs, but really we're all just in a fucking circle. And I love, and my neighbor, friend of the pod, Phil, he's really, really good with math. He's a math guy. And so anytime that I can talk about math with him and have him explain kind of real world topics or concepts or abstract ideas even in math terms, I enjoy listening because like they're there. Like things can be essentially dumbed down to numbers. I mean, that's what fucking binary is. Like things can be kind of dumbed down to numbers at times. And it was kind of cool that the song is kind of about like the ups and downs of various degrees of human interaction, differences and things. But really it's just like a cycle. It's a cyclical nature of human interaction, of going to war and hating your fellow man. But this is not the way we act. It was just really cool to watch it in math terms. And again, I'm not a math guy, but I thought that was unbelievable. I love that.
I didn't even see that on Genius.
It was fucking cool. You should go back and look. It was so goddamn cool. It's just like a little GIF. It's just like fucking 4 seconds long.
Yeah.
God damn.
I didn't even notice that.
It was really cool.
Okay, another thing I thought was kind of weird on this entire record when it comes to the saxophone. Why didn't Richard Wright play the saxophone? Because reading more about him, the guy was obviously an accomplished piano player and all that, but he also knew how to play multiple instruments, and one of them was the saxophone.
Saxophone, yep.
It's like, what was played on here? I mean, I'm not a big woodwind guy. I don't know a ton about the saxophone, but, it didn't sound like it was overly complicated. Why didn't Richard just play it? Why did they hire another guy? I think his name was Dick Perry, which is a name in itself, but why would they hire somebody outside of the band when you have somebody very accomplished who could do it? It made no fucking sense.
I know.
So, I don't know.
Is that like a band decision or is that like a studio pressure decision? I don't know.
I think it was, honestly, I think it was probably like an insecure thing that Richard Wright had. I think he probably felt too insecure to do it.
Like studying from Waters and Gilmour probably not making him feel like he's better than he is.
I think because he was so accomplished at playing piano and knowing theory and doing all that, I feel like it was more of like a thing like, well, I can't be as good at saxophone. I'm not as good on the sax as I am on the piano, so there's no point. I think it was more of like a personal, like an inner turmoil thing, rather than a pressure from the label or Gilmour and Rogers.
I don't know. I feel like this band was just not very good at building each other up, and so I think that.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah.
Like when you're a good musician, you know you're a fucking good musician. No bullshit. You know you're a good fucking musician. Like dating back to Beethoven and shit. Before that, if you're a good musician, you know you're a good musician. So I find it hard to believe that Richard Wright, knowing he's a good piano player, knowing he can read music, knowing he knows musical theory, and thinking that, oh, I'm not good enough to play the sax. Like, no, fuck that. I find that very, very, very hard to believe. I think that it's more label intervention, or it's Gilmour and Rogers trying to get involved with somebody else and tell them exactly what they want, as opposed to Richard Wright, who has his own ideas of what to write.
Yeah, could be that. It really could be. Or it came down to credits too. Maybe if Wright had written or had done the sax part, he would have been paid more money or gotten more of a credit on the song than he already had.
Rather than a $30 flat fee that they paid Dick Perry to come in and do.
Yeah. Yep. Fucking that 30 quid right there.
30 quid, baby. What the fuck a quid is. Yeah. Any color you like. That's the next one. That's the next one.
Yes.
Yeah. Any color
you
like.
Obviously, this song it perfectly segues. The last song perfectly segues into this song because it is the same song.
Another flawless transition, if we want to call it a transition, but it's the same fucking song. But yeah, sure.
And it was kind of like it kind of was like to me, this is kind of like a throwaway song because from what I was reading, Roger Waters wasn't even there.
No,
He was on vacation.
he was on
holiday,
vacation. Yep.
as they would say, on holiday, and so they pretty much used recycled bass lines and loops from Breathe
Yeah,
that were
just
unused.
drop the key.
Yeah, and
That's
put it
it.
in this, and that was kind of lame.
It is kind of lame, and it's just like I don't know, like why not? Everyone's go on holiday, I guess. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's still cool. Like we've already heard it, and a ton of synth noodling, and it's fine. And Gilmour smashing some notes in there with actually a fucking really rad use of delay and verb, and I thought that was fantastic. But yeah, it's not a throwaway song. It's just I don't know, it's a throwaway song.
But I do like also, the first half is kind of Richard kind of going off on the synth and doing his thing. And then Gilmour comes in the second half with his guitar solos. But he uses these crazy effects. I don't remember the exact what he uses, but he does use something, and it sounds similar to what Richard was doing. And it perfectly plays off of what was going on. And it was a really cool, I don't want to say back and forth because it wasn't, but it just made the song a really cool instrumental.
I think he's using just a lot of delay and like reverb because there's a lot of just extra notes being hit after he's done playing, would sound like delay and reverb. And I think it's just, I don't know, it's cool. It's good.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Good song.
So that's Any Color You Like. We good with this one? It's an instrumental, so.
Yeah, instrumental, no lyrics. I mean, there was the quote of Any Color You Like being from like a Henry Ford era thing.
Oh,
where Henry Ford would tell, like the song is, fans say it's about like society having the illusion of choice.
Yeah,
because
and then it references the Model T thing.
Yeah, like Henry Ford would famously say, supposedly, that the Model T Ford comes in any color you like, so long as the color is black. The
Very
Ford
cute.
is not black.
You're an idiot. No.
And then go into brain damage, baby.
That's what we have right now is brain damage. Mm-hmm. What do you got on this one?
So like by the time listeners are here, we're picking up on the transitions, right? They're happening. I don't know. We're hearing them rather than afterwards realizing that they've already been happening. They've already happened. But this one gets dumped off like right after Any Color You Like, and you don't pick up on it. You really don't, because purposely this song is put out in the way that Brain Damage starts well after Any Color You Like finishes. And I like that. I like keeping me on my toes even to like the bitter end. I love this. I love this bass riff. It's an easy scale to end the do 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 to kind of like downscale the end of that riff. I think it's amazing. Adding the laughing parts when he's saying the world is like lunatic or the word lunatic, it's fucking gold. It's stupid. It's like it's like 20s, 30s horror movie status. It's cheesy. It's gold.
It's also a little eerie when you hear it when you're listening on headphones, because it doesn't come out of both ears. It kind of it comes on like you hear a little bit like on one ear, but then most of it on the other. So it's a little off-putting, honestly.
And like
I think it sounds really cool.
The best part of this song for me is its production, like the use of stereo and when the use of stereo happens is key here. A lot of like things can only be really felt and experienced with headphones on, unless you have like really wide apart speakers and a good speaker system and you're sitting right in the middle. But otherwise you don't hear a lot of like nuance in those stereo tricks. Much like you just said, the laughing. There are parts of the laughing where it's not just. It's mono, where it's coming through both speakers at the same time and no nuance to it. But there's a little bit to that laughter where it goes kind of back and forth, and it's a little unsettling. And there are parts of this album overall where I turned my head to like the left or the right, just out of fucking, I don't know, out of knee jerk reaction. You can't help it. And Brain Damage was one of them.
And this song was also it actually originally came from when they were recording Metal, that particular album, and at the time it was called Dark Side. The song was called Dark Side of the Moon, and that's why you hear him say that in this particular song. You actually hear those words it's so weird because I feel like a lot of bands at the time, they didn't like whatever the album title they were using was never said within
No.
the song. So it's very strange to hear it in a song of this era.
No, you never repeat the song, the album title in the song. This is, you can't do it.
And like you brought up like how the beginning starts up kind of like slow, and it kind of builds on itself, and you kind of hear the heartbeat coming back from the very beginning of the record, how it started out, which eventually you hear at the very end. But this is where it kind of comes back into the actual structure of the song, and I like that. It's not so sudden like at the very end. Like it's slowly brought back in and kind of played throughout this song and the last song, and I think that's really cool, and it's fucking killer. And I do like too that Gilmore kind of Gilmore kind of like lays back and just plays like a clean guitar part and lets the other guys shine. Like Richard Wright, like what he plays during the chorus, I think is spot on, and it sounds so good with the backup vocals and the harms, and just everything just meshes so perfectly in that chorus. I think it's remarkable.
This is one of my favorite like lyrical ones or conceptually, I guess. But like from what I read, the idea of Waters writing this song while thinking of Syd Barrett, but then also staring off into the courtyard of the college he was at, and seeing this sign on the grass that says like, "Please stay off the grass." And he was kind of laughing and thinking like how crazy that would be, like a person to deliberately disobey a sign and walk in the grass like that. Yeah, that's Syd Barrett for you. But then like kind of digging deeper and thinking like, it's even fucking crazier to expect someone not to walk on grass. Like,
yeah.
That's fucking stupid. Like that's getting a little bit deeper, but that's like, I don't know, it's a societal thing too. Is just that seems silly that we would not obey that rule because it's such an easy rule to obey. But like, why the fuck do we even have that rule to begin with?
Yeah,
like that's even crazier that we don't even question that, and that's what for me that's what makes Brain Damage so goddamn good.
Agreed. And also, what I was reading too about this song was that David Gilmour insisted that Roger sing the song. Like Roger did not want to do this at all, but yeah, David was the one that's like, "This is your song. You got to do it. It would mean the most if you did it." That's what we get, which I think it's really cool. I think it's really awesome that David kind of like put his ego aside and just said, "No, this is you. This is all you. These are your lyrics. This is your song. You have to do it." I like that. I think that's really, really. I have a lot more respect for David Gilmour, reading shit like this about him. Yeah, which is super rad.
It's not like humbling. It's just very very respectful, very respectful of a musician.
Especially too because I had no idea prior to this week that David Gilmour and Syd Barrett had grown up together. They had traveled around parts of Europe busking, and they had been arrested together, and they were like really close friends prior to any Pink Floyd stuff. And I always thought that David Gilmour came in as like this stranger to the band and kind of like overtook Pink Floyd and just kind of made it his own, but it was the complete opposite. Like him and Syd were very, very close.
That's what makes I had no idea that Gilmour until this week. I didn't know that Gilmour wasn't an original member of Pink Floyd. I didn't know that he wasn't a part of like the OG band. And so for Gilmour to come in at like kind of as an outsider, he did not start this band. Like Syd Barrett named the band. This band was already established somewhat before Gilmour came in, and he's coming in as an outsider and already like when you have a band that's been started and someone comes in, there's already going to be like, let's see what you got. Let's see what's going to happen. And just so happened they mesh really well together. But I think like Syd Barrett's departure affected Waters almost more than it did David Gilmour.
Oh, totally.
Which is fucking weird, right? Like it's so bizarre. Like Waters was just like blown away by how sad and horrible like Syd Barrett's decline was. And Gilmour, not to say like he wasn't affected by it, it just seemed like Waters musically was affected by it more drastically than Gilmour was. And I think that in itself is just a book to be fucking written. Like how?
Well, I mean,
why?
essentially, The Wall was written about Sid Barrett. Yeah, the underlying character was Sid Barrett.
Same with this album. This album is
Yeah, this
explores
album too.
life
Yeah,
and
yeah,
death.
no,
Like
yeah.
this is kind of reminiscing. Like holy fuck, man, we could all be Sid Barrett. We could all fall victim to what Sid had fallen victim to. It's insane. It's not insane. It's peculiar to me at how Waters was affected over Gilmore. And again, not to say that Gilmore was not affected. It's just interesting to see that Waters was affected as much as he was, having known Sid for as little time as he did.
And then reading about, during the Wish You Were Here sessions, how Sid Barrett showed up looking completely different, like we touched upon. And
Yeah.
the band didn't even recognize him. They thought he was like some record executive.
Yeah, some guy walking in. They're trying to like button up for him.
I mean, mind you, if you look at pictures of Sid Barrett from like 1970 to 1976, when I think that was 1976, the 5-6 years. I mean, the dude was only 29 years old. Did you see the pictures of him during the Wish You Were Here sessions?
Yeah.
He was 29, dude.
He looked like he was like
He looked
fucking
like he was
95
60.
years old.
Yeah, it's
Bald
unreal.
and fucking white and just, I don't know, he looked like shit.
He looked terrible, and apparently that just affected Roger so much that he it almost seemed like he almost had a mental breakdown after that. And then apparently the only person to see Sid after that particular time was Roger at like 2 years later at like a market in London or something like that. He ran into him, but didn't even say hi to him, just like saw him and like ran away or something like that. And that was the last time anybody from the band had ever seen Sid Barrett until he died in 2006. And then nobody came to his funeral.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I understand, but I mean, it's like, I think even if you're not there like on an emotional level, like I think with the legacy of Pink Floyd, the band, you guys got to show up to the funeral.
I don't know. It's hard.
Like outside of the emotional stuff, you got to. I mean, I don't know, man. The legacy of the band, it seems weird not to.
The amount of feelings involved when somebody dies, it's such a natural part of life. But like literally, we all think we're ready for it. We all think like we're well capable of handling it. But when it happens, like we all reverted to our stage of when we come out of the fucking womb. We are nothing. We're insignificant on this earth. And we talked about it at Vero's. Remember, like we brought up the conversation of like look around the room right now. Like every single person in this room means nothing in the grand scheme of things.
I know.
And it's just like when somebody dies, it's just like I don't know. It means nothing. I don't fault people for doing dumb things when somebody dies, and that's fine. I don't. It's fine. But
I know. I understand. I know. I understand. And I know we did talk about that when I was out there. But I think in some circumstances, like Pink Floyd, like this band and this like kind of era of music and just culture, it just seems a little weird that none of the guys showed up.
Well, don't forget too. This is a rock group. They're not like normal people. They are emotionally underdeveloped. True. They are not like you and I. They are.
They're not as advanced as us. Yes.
No, of course not. They're a rock group. Like musically, of course, they're well advanced, but like emotionally, no. Yeah. Like spiritually, no. They're fucking 16 at most. They're no, not at all. So yeah, that's all I got for Brain Damage.
All right. I mean, that leads into the last song, Eclipse, which obviously is like an extension of the other song, except with the outro. The outro is really cool. I do like that a lot.
The outro is the only part about Eclipse that shouldn't be a different thing. Like literally, Eclipse. Like someone just played Brain Damage in Eclipse and then just clicked a button and said, "Okay, let's stop it." Fuck it, right here, done. Like it's literally Eclipse. Like just it's Brain Damage.
Yeah, I know.
This
until you get to all the singing and wailing. And
if there's any song on this album that should have been combined with another song, it is Eclipse and Brain Damage.
Agreed. It makes no sense that it was ever split up.
Stupid.
And like I said, I think it was all due to marketing. It had to have been due to marketing.
10 songs.
Because some of these don't make sense.
10 songs for an album, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, that's really all I got for this.
That's it. The album started with the heartbeat, and the album ended with the heartbeat, baby. We come in and we come out.
There you go.
We're all the same.
And I know we touched upon the album artwork a bit. I mean, it was created by Storm Thurgeson, who was a part of the Hypnosis kind of art group, but it was really Storm. And
have you noticed that the fucking
Mhm.
album artwork does not include all 7 colors? The Roy G. Bivs.
Wait, what? Say that again.
So like Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, Roy, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. There's 7 colors in the ring,
Yeah,
the spectrum. It's only 6.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
There's only fucking 6. Why is there only 6? There's no
Why?
7.
Yeah,
Isn't that weird?
that is really weird. Maybe
So I noticed that.
maybe
I
because
thought
there
that
was only ever
weird.
6 members in the band.
But then I thought like maybe it was just like a weird thing of how just things are just always quite what you think they're going to be. They're not quite. Life is always going to be somewhat incomplete. Things don't always work out the way you think they're going to work out, and then just I don't know. It's fucking weird. I thought that was weird. I've never noticed that until this week, and
Yeah,
it bothered
I
me.
never did either.
It bothered me in a way that I don't know. It's a little off-putting. It's a little unsettling.
Yeah, because I didn't read a ton on the actual album art because it's like, it's pretty basic, but whatever. It's Storm Thurgeson. Like he just does weird shit. So I didn't think too much into it.
Good shit. Like the
No,
guy.
no, I agree. No,
like Hypnosis, him, like they do some good shit.
No, I agree. But it's fucking weird. So I never really I don't know. I never thought about it. But
Except
now that
for,
you mention it, that's fucking weird.
do you know the one album cover I don't like?
You gonna say Francis the Cuck?
No, is Metal, but Pink Floyd. I don't like
Really?
Metal because it's supposed to be an ear. I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's what bothers me.
Thing,
I can't see it. I don't see it, and it bothers me.
I've never been able to see the ear either. I agree with you on that, but I still like the cover, even though I don't.
I like
see
the pink and the blue. I like the color schematics. I like that. I don't see the ear, and it bothers me.
But see, like Adam Hart Mother, I don't really like that album cover.
Oh God, dude, the cow looking backwards at you. What does that mean? Why is she looking back?
It's stupid. And then what is it like
God,
the inner cover or the back cover? There's like 3 different cows from the same farm. It's just it's stupid. It's
simplistic.
Oh, you know what's even dumber is actually even dumber than that. I like the animals cover except for the
pig.
The pig.
What?
Yeah, I hate the pig. The pig is so dumb.
It's such I don't know that one's really cool because it's like here's a factory of like colonization in America and over the world, but let's like float a pig over there because they're fucking just pigs, and it's just like a subtle like fuck you to like I don't know, big wigs. I love that shit. It's so good.
It was all right. It was all right.
Honestly, even like Endless River, I love that cover. I think the cover's fucking dope.
Yeah, Endless River, I do like that cover.
That's so cool.
Momentary Lapse, that's a cool cover.
Yes,
as well.
that is such a badass cover.
Even thinking about Division Bell, that's a rad one. That's one too.
Cool.
And he even like constructed those figures, like huge ass figures, to take that picture.
They actually constructed those figures.
Yeah, no, I know, it's fucking nuts. Have you seen some of the? You probably haven't, but because Storm did some stuff with the Mars Volta, obviously with Francis the Cuck and Deloused, but he did some alternate like covers from stuff that they never ended up using, and there's some really cool stuff that they ended up rejecting that fans have used as like bootleg covers for like live performances or B-side stuff. But no, Storm did some really cool stuff with Mars Volta that was outside of those 2 records. You should check out.
I mean, the dude was just like a fucking genius, man. Just like
no, he was great.
God, he was so good.
He was great, and he was unique, much like H.R. What is it? H.R. Geiger,
your boy from Korn.
What?
Is it your boy from Korn with his stupid fucking microphone?
Oh, with the microphone set, the bitch, yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously with ELP and then Alien and all that kind of stuff. He has that iconic, unique style, which is really cool. But Storm was fucking rad too. But anyway,
dope. Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. We did it.
I mean,
we made it.
Obviously,
we're done.
I mean, any Pink Floyd purist would come on and say, "You didn't talk about this, and that," and it's like, dude,
just
relax.
off,
like,
dude.
calm
Get
your
out
tits.
Of here. Yeah,
calm your tits, man. It's
put your quid in your pocket and fuck off. That's what I say. Put your 20 quid in your. What is a fucking quid? Is that like a quarter? Is that just like a half of a pound or something, or a quarter of a pound?
I think a quid.
Because they don't do quarters over there, don't they? Do like fifths and like 20ths or some shit. I don't fucking know what they do.
Like
they don't have quarter pounders.
A pound is like $1.
$1.
So a quid. A quid
like
must
10
be
cents or like 20 cents or something.
I think a quid is more than a pound.
No, more than a pound.
I think a quid might be like 10 pounds. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, they have pence and they have like half pence, right?
Yeah, and then they have. There's another like one or two.
Dude, have they never heard of George Washington?
Or that was so dumb.
Oh god, that could be like the greatest quote ever.
It was so stupid.
Have you never heard of George Washington?
Talk about like the most ignorant thing you could possibly fucking say. Maybe a quid and a pound is the same thing. I think maybe a quid might have been like the old term, but pound is like the more modern thing. Maybe I don't know.
I refuse to look any of this up until friend of the pod
Skip says it
enlightens us. Yes, correct.
I'm so tempted to look. I really am very tempted to look it up.
No, don't do it.
I want to, but
because then we'll know. Then we'll know how true of a fan he is if he listens this late to enlighten us about the quid.
This is what I want. This is what I want Skip to do. If Skip has gotten to this point, you have to let us know you've got to this point, specifically the very end of the episode, that you've listened this far, where you can tell us what the difference between a quid and a pound. You've got to let us know.
Not just that. Quid, pound. I want to know what a fucking hat penny is, because there's a hat penny, which is one word. And then there's pence,
How do you know
right?
that?
Hat penny?
Yeah, no, pence, yeah. Yeah, hat penny. How do you know what a hat penny
I don't know.
is?
I was in some play at some point where somebody said hat penny, and it was just like, oh, and they had an English accent. I almost did it. They had an English accent, and they did like the arm. You cock your arm, and you like go back and forth. You rock your arm back and forth with the crook of the elbow. Oh, I'm a douchebag. Not saying that, like English people are douchebags. I'm saying that people that impersonate English people in high school plays are douchebags.
Much like
yes.
you, yes.
Yes, correct. Oh, dude, I made fun of English people so much in high school. It was crazy. I still do.
God. Clearly, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, Skip. Let us know. Okay, so we've finished the dark side of the moon, and let's give our final thoughts and then our rating with our world famous 3-point rating system, where 3 is a perfect album, 2 is a good album you're going to continue to listen to, 1 is a bad album but give it a shot, and 0 is the worst thing you've ever heard. So what do you got, Jeff? Go.
Dark Side. This week was the first time I've really heard Dark Side. This was the first time I've listened to Dark Side. I've heard Dark Side, but I never listened to it. Much like Tyler on the podcast, when I talk, he hears me, but he doesn't listen. This is the first time I've listened to Dark Side. So this was
the fucking worst.
Is this my time to talk, or is this your time to fucking talk? I'm sorry.
All right, Rekka. Continue.
I thought you had said go. So go means like go.
Continue
speak.
the joke.
Okay, you're still going to talk. That's fine though. So this was the first time that I have listened to Dark Side, rather than just hear Dark Side, and it was fucking weird, because like I said, this is one of the first albums that I got when we started collecting, and I listened to it a couple times, and like it's good. I thought sonically it sounded great. There was nothing about it that was bad. The music was good, but it wasn't until this week where it really kind of just clicked, where I was like, holy fuck, man, this is really good. And I don't think it's their best album. It's not my favorite album. I shouldn't say that. This is one of the weird times where I don't think it's their best album. I think that they've done, like Animals, I think it's a better prog album. It's better conceptually. Adam Heart Mother, I think, is better. It sounds a little bit better. I think they take a little more chances. They work out really well. I think The Wall is way more ambitious. The Wall is their most ambitious album for sure. But yeah. Dark Side I think Dark Side's probably their best album. I really do. It's not my favorite, and it's not. It's my third favorite, but I think it could be their best. And somebody was like, "Hey, how should I get into Pink Floyd? I've been listening to fucking Dark Side, dude, because it's their best album. Not my favorite, but it's their best."
So you're pulling a Justin again.
I am. I'm doing the Enema of the State Justin thing, where I'm going to say that Enema of the State is Blink's best album and Dark Side is Pink Floyd's best album. It's not my favorite. No, not at all. But I think it's their best.
So we're going to call this the Justin rating.
This is the Justin rating, yes.
The Justin rating, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. Because this is the first time I've ever done it, to be fair. Never done this before.
Never done it.
Never done this before. This is the Justin rating. The Justin rating, I will give this. I mean, this is a good album, and even not on the Justin rating, this is fucking good. Like I've not experienced an album where I have felt anything over the course of 45 minutes the way I did this. I think I probably give like the top. Oh man, dude! Like Adam Hart, Mother, Animals, Dark Side, Umaguma, maybe even Metal. I give a perfect 3.
Oh my!
I really would. I fucking really would.
Holy shit!
I'd have to really go back into Metal again and listen to it, but for sure the top 4 is a perfect album. Metal is no matter what is dipping no well below the 2.75 realm.
And this is only on the Justin scoreboard.
No,
fuck
Justin.
System.
Justin's an idiot. He knows nothing. I know everything. I am on my own scale now. I'm so disrespectful to him.
I know. It was so rude. Oh my God.
Oh God, it's funny. Yeah, no, this is my own rating now. I mean, Dark Side of the Moon is perfect. It really is a perfect album. It's not just a perfect album, but like the cover art is perfect, the story behind it is perfect, the legacy is perfect. Everything about Dark Side is absolutely perfect, and that's 3 albums deep. So, Animals and Adam Hart are also perfect. I think Umaguma is perfect in its own way. I think Metal is damn near close to perfect too. I really do.
It is.
I mean, I don't think I'm there yet, but I think 2.75 no matter what. Metal is not falling below that.
So Dark Side. Fuck, I'm not even gonna try to explain it again. We spent like 3 hours almost on this, or 2.5 hours on this. This is a perfect album. This is 3 out of 3. You know, the Justin rating system, my rating system. This is a perfect 3 out of 3. Sonically, I think it's perfect. Songwriting wise, I think it's perfect. Like we talked about, it's not, technically speaking, it's not the greatest thing, but who gives a fuck? We're talking about songs here. We're talking about the cohesiveness of an actual album, and this perfects it in every sense. I love this record, but it is not my favorite. Like I said before, this is my 2B. Metal is their best record. Metal, it has a little bit of everything, and there's not a lot of pretentiousness to it, like Dark Side has. Dark Side fails a little bit because to me, or like after we talked about it, they fell into like the marketing part of it by making this album 10 songs when it could have been broken down to 7, maybe 6 songs. And that's just how it is. But it was a marketing thing, and
or if they got like ballsy, it could have been like fucking 4 songs.
Well, it could.
If they want to get cheeky with it.
They could have got real cheeky with it. We know that.
Yeah.
And and like you were saying, the artwork is another thing that has put this band on a different level, because everyone knows this fucking artwork. It's truly iconic. And I'll just wrap it up again by saying we missed a lot. I know we missed a lot talking about this, but who gives a fuck?
Yeah, fuck
we tried.
'em. Who cares?
We did this 2.5 hours. We're not going to do this for 5 hours. That's just
Raul's probably like, you didn't talk about the fucking facts. But shut up. I don't care, Raul.
I mean, there have been dozens of documentaries about this band, about this album. I understand we missed a lot, but we tried. We
got the best of it, baby. That's all we did.
We condensed it the best anybody could ever do, because we're the best podcast ever. So yeah, perfect 3 out of 3. And honestly, that's all I got on this one. You got anything else?
No, that's all I got to say about that.
That's all you got to say about that. Well, thank you all for listening to the podcast. Keep listening. Tell all your friends and family. Hope you all had a good time. All the social media stuff, Asinine Radio, get into that. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And I don't know, stay tuned for the next one because we're getting into more hip hop next week. So I don't know, keep listening. And that's it. That's all.
Did a good one. What'd you want to do? We don't need no education. Boom, 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 boom. We don't need no thought control.
It's a great accent you got there.
Because they don't say thought over there; they say fought. Like you're fighting someone. Fought.
It's true. Glad you enjoy something.
Yeah. So there are no more there are no more. Wow, I still cannot even say.
Even
I'm thinking about saying it correctly, I still cannot say it. There are no more. Oh my God!
I
will not be purging any more albums from here on out. I'm gonna just change up the rotation there. There are no more purgeable albums. I still said it weird.
Still can't even do it. Yeah.
What is so hard about that? There are no more. Wow. Say it right now. There are no more.
There are no more. There are no more.
Why do I want to say nor more?
Nor more. There were no more.
Like the Gangnam Style. Not no. That's what I sound like.
You bought like half their shit. So don't give me that bullshit. You love the Mars Volta. Get off your little cuck horse over here.
My little white horse. My little pony horse.
You're My Little Pony cuck horse over there.
My little pony cuck horse.
30. I think as the English would say, 30 quid. I think that's the proper thing to say.
A quid. That's like an animal. A quid. These Englishmen and their
fuck a quid is.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck a quid is. These Englishmen and their fucking monetary denominations.
Fucking Skip over here. He'll let us know. He'll let us know what
you ever heard of a
is.
quarter or a dime? Come on, guys.
Have you heard of George Washington?
That's so good.
It's fucking killer, and I do like too that Gilmore kind of